Tuesday. The pullouts still aren't really happening, but this is unsurprising as both sides don't trust the other to keep their bargain without UN monitors in place. In 1999, Darryl W. Perry began a search for traditional values, which led him down a path to the ideas of liberty. He tells the story in A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty. Of the book, Dr. Brian Sovereign says, "Sometimes it's funny, and sometimes I think it's crazy, but it's always authentic." Ask for A Rebel's Journey wherever books are sold or visit arebelsjourney.com. UPI reports Uber is launching a program that encourages drivers to report any suspicious activity of riders to the police. The program, which is coordinated with Crime Stoppers USA, will launch in 5 U.S. cities: Jacksonville, Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, Indianapolis, Indiana, New Orleans, Louisiana, and Las Vegas, Nevada. It will utilize an app that allows drivers to send anonymous tips to law enforcement via Crime Stoppers, which already has networks set up in those 5 cities. Crime Stoppers sometimes gives cash rewards to tipsters, and Uber drivers will be eligible for compensation. Drivers, however, will not receive any special training about what activity they should report. Barb Burgeon, chairwoman of Crime Stoppers USA, told UPI they are encouraged to report any information that they see or hear about during their travel, adding, Uber encourages the drivers to beware of potential human trafficking situations and other crimes. Bottom line is, if drivers are concerned or suspicious, they are encouraged to report. Zencash is now Horizon. Horizon is a privacy platform built on zero-knowledge technology with a decentralized secure node architecture. The Horizon platform enables real-life uses beyond currency, including the ability to privately chat with other people. Soon, Horizon will enable you to publish information and go anywhere on the web, all with complete privacy. Horizon, bringing privacy to life. Learn more at horizon.global, HORIZEN.global. Reuters reports a federal judge on Wednesday struck down Trump administration policies aimed at restricting asylum claims by people citing gang or domestic violence in their home countries and ordered the U.S. government to bring back 6 deported migrants to reconsider their cases. The ruling is the latest legal setback for the White House on immigration. Last month, the judge in San Francisco ordered a halt to a policy that prevented those entering illegally from Mexico from seeking asylum. The policy at the center of Wednesday's ruling sought to limit the ability of immigrants to fight expedited deportation by narrowing the grounds for claiming credible fear if they returned home, the first step in a long asylum process. Thousands of people have traveled this year towards the southern U.S. border to escape gang violence and poverty in Honduras and El Salvador. The policy was challenged in a District of Columbia lawsuit brought by a dozen adults and children. U.S. Judge Emmett Sullivan said in a 107-page opinion that the policy violated both immigration and administrative law. Sullivan wrote, "And because it is the will of Congress, not the whims of the executive, that determines the standard for expedited removal, the court finds that those policies are unlawful." In a statement, the DOJ said administration policies sought to follow Congress's requirements that asylum be limited to those with a fear of persecution based on their race, nationality, religion, political opinion, or membership in a social group. For the last 3 months of 2017, the most recent numbers, the government conducted about 6,000 credible fear interviews monthly. The vast majority passed those interviews, allowing them to make their case for asylum in front of a U.S. immigration judge. The ruling clears the way for 4 mothers and 2 children to be returned to the United States. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Hi, I'm Clint Webb, and I'm running for Senate. I have a short cropped haircut, a pretty enough yet accessible looking wife, and a newborn baby that I've dressed in a suit to prove to you that I mean business. For the last 15 years, I've lived my life in such a bland, uncontroversial, and repressed manner that it's almost unnatural. Why? Because I've been preparing to be your representative since I was a child. Most well-adjusted, sane men would be hesitant to take a job where their decisions would so drastically affect the lives of so many. But not me. I possess a sort of sociopathic narcissism that makes me think that I should be in charge of everyone. But all of that needs to start here at home, in this beautiful state that I've grown to love since I moved here 18 months ago. Together, we can piggyback some of our state's legitimate needs onto my unquenchable lust for self-glorification. And that's a promise.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk live, and we'll give you the toll-free call-in line here momentarily where you can call in and join us and bring up whatever is on your mind. The us in studio tonight is Darryl,
Chris,
and Jackie.
And, of course, the news du jour is that apparently more people are quitting the Trump administration. This time it is Defense Secretary Jim Mad Dog Mattis. And, Chris, this actually, in some kind of way, ties in with a story that we'll get to after about Syria.
Mm-hmm.
And possibly also Afghanistan. But definitely not Yemen.
not that we know of.
Well, no, we know not Yemen. And if you are curious, what are we talking about? Syria and Afghanistan, but definitely not Yemen. Talking about countries where the U.S. is going to allegedly, according to the wishes of President Donald Trump, end the involvement in wars.
Yeah.
And the reason I say definitely not Yemen is there was a Senate resolution that passed, I believe it was earlier this week, might have been late last week.
I'm sorry, Darryl. What does the Senate have to do with what Donald Trump wants to do?
Well, there's the War Powers Act that was passed, 45 years ago?
Still.
That says that presidents can use military force for a certain number of days before Congress is supposed to pass some kind of authorization.
Right.
Well, with Yemen, the U.S. military has been assisting the Saudi government, specifically the Saudi military, in drone bombing a huge swath of that country, causing a humanitarian crisis and near famine.
Agreed.
The U.S. Senate, for the first time ever, had a successful War Powers Act challenge, meaning they passed a resolution saying, President, knock it off, stop assisting in this unlawful, illegal war. Well, the House, the same day, might have been the day before, threw into the Farm Bill a provision saying that the U.S. House of Representatives would not vote on any War Powers Act challenges until at least January 1st.
I get what you're saying, Darryl. I've read these stories.
There's the new Congress that takes office January 3rd. So basically,
the idea,
nothing's happening.
I know,
with Yemen.
but what you're saying here is there's this. I'm going to call it a balance of power. Or maybe I got a better word for it. I'm going to call it checks and balances.
Yeah.
Checks and balances between the different divisions of government.
Yes.
That you have the executive, the legislative, and the judicial, and somehow that they're all supposed to check each other. I'm telling
supposedly.
You, Donald Trump doesn't care. Donald Trump will do whatever he wants.
When did I say he cared?
I'm not. I'm just saying, as we try to report the news, and I'm using finger quotes because Darryl will always quote things and say, I'm using finger quotes.
Right.
You just have Donald Trump, who's sworn that he will be the staunchest defender of the Second Amendment we can ever imagine, banning a firearm accessory.
Well, it's coming up on, we're actually exactly 1 month away from the 2-year anniversary of when he put his hand on a Bible and swore to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
The parts that are convenient.
And how many times has he wound up not upholding the Constitution?
Yeah. So these are interesting times when you have, and we'll get into these stories, but you have Democrats and Republicans attacking Trump for daring to bring up the idea of pulling out of Syria. Right. You have Donald Trump going up against what I will arguably say is his base by doing a completely unconstitutional ban on a firearm accessory.
Yes.
It's craziness out there.
I mean, we're just talking about obeying the Constitution.
Like, I thought you had something because I saw a hand go up.
The moment passed, I was just going to say, has he even read it with regards to the Constitution?
Well,
he's not a
he
big
looked
reader.
at it when he walked through the archives and he saw that there were some words. They were really big words. And by big words, I mean they were written in a large font.
What did he was a big fan of? Was it Article 9? or Article 12 or Article. He came out and he said, I'm a big believer in Article. It was 9, 18, 12. In other words, I mean, what are there, 7 or 8? See, I'm not going to pretend that I know. I think there's 7 different articles that make up the Constitution.
Darryl, you ran for president. You should know.
Right.
Oh, I should. I could tell you how many amendments there are. I could tell you the 5 different things in the First Amendment. Most people don't know that there are 5 things in the First Amendment.
Where's our Cato pocket constitutions? Like, as libertarian nerds, shouldn't we have them here?
No,
somewhere.
I use the online version.
There's a metal Bill of Rights floating around in here somewhere. But let's get into this news. And, of course, your calls and thoughts welcome at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. CNN has the story. Defense Secretary James Mattis resigned Thursday on the heels of President Donald Trump's plans to withdraw troops from Syria, citing irreconcilable policy differences.
The policy is endless war.
Right.
So I can't work with somebody who's not for endless war.
But wasn't there the claim that a guy with the nickname Mad Dog would be the quote unquote voice of reason within the Trump administration?
Yeah, I never really got that.
That role has been supposedly held by a lot of people, and none of them last very long.
I think it's a comparative thing. I think if you stand up anybody to Donald Trump, anybody is going to appear to be the voice of reason.
Yeah, even if you take, somebody's senile old grandfather who has like stage 5 dementia, put them next to Donald Trump, they will probably still be the voice of reason.
Yeah, Trump's just an interesting personality. I can't look at him any other way than like some sort of experiment. Like we're just seeing what happens.
Hold on. So experiment as in like Professor X, or experiment as in let's see what happens when we put a crazy person in office?
I'm going with the latter.
Okay.
That's really how it feels, because he's not consistent. The right can't say he's consistent. The left can't say he's consistent.
Right.
I don't think Donald Trump will tell you he's consistent.
And reports from inside the White House is he basically, whoever spoke to him last and sucked up the best is whatever policy he's going with at the moment.
Yeah, and that comes out. There's a book out there called Fire and Fury, which was written by an embedded guy who was invited.
Gal.
Well, this was a guy. Embedded in the White House by the Trump administration to report on the first 100 days, and that's very much the conclusion he comes to. It is, Donald, in his words, really craves positive attention. He wants to be told he's doing the right thing, and if you're telling him that, you're going to get your way. And
I mean, just to even get him to listen to intelligence reports, they have to like international CIA intelligence reports. They've said they have to work his name into them somehow, because that will get him to pay attention when he hears his name.
But he won't read them.
Yeah, no, he won't read them. They have to give oral reports. And then there was all this concern about how he was having sort of these back channel cell phone communications, and was this a security risk? And people said he doesn't pay enough attention to the security briefings to leak anything.
He also has, according to reports that I've seen, repeatedly be reminded that time zones exist, because he forgets that it's not the same time in other countries when he decides that he wants to call up a foreign head of state.
Yeah.
No, Mr. Trump, you can't call the president of China right now. It's midnight over there. But why is it midnight? The sky is clear. I see the sun. Why is it midnight there?
No, my personal favorite was the report that White House staffers were coordinating with the Fox and Friends show producers to try and arrange to get specific guests on or specific topics covered, because that was the best way to get Trump to pay attention to those topics, was if he could watch it on Fox in the morning.
Calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
When do you want to spot that burglar? When he's casing your home or after he's in? Ask John, whose Blink camera alerted him of burglars trying to break in while his family was home. Or Shannon, whose Blink camera caught a package thief. Blink motion-activated cameras are wire-free, set up in minutes, and run on 2 AA batteries that last up to 2 years. Save up to a whopping 40% off all outdoor XT and add-on cameras through December 22nd while supplies last. Visit blinkprotect.com/holiday. blinkprotect.com/holiday.
You want to know the 37 items you must have to survive a crisis? Then I've got some good news for you. Former CIA officer and New York Times best-selling author Jason Hansen is now giving listeners a free copy of his book, The Escape Bag Blueprint, 37 Items You Must Have to Survive a Crisis. You can claim your copy at freeescapebook.com. Don't delay. Jason reveals the guns, knives, flashlights, and water filters that could save your life in an economic collapse or grid-down event. Get your free book today, freeescapebook.com. freeescapebook.com.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, the inventor of MyPillow, and like all of you out there, I had problems sleeping. Pillows would go flat, I would flip-flop all night long, I would wake up with a sore neck, maybe a headache, or feel like I needed a nap even though I slept 8 hours. When I invented MyPillow, I wanted it to where you can move the patented fill to give you the exact support you need as an individual, regardless of sleep position. MyPillow will get you into that deep sleep faster and you will stay there longer. It's not about how much time we spend in bed, it's about how much of that quality sleep we get. I do all of my own manufacturing right here in the United States. I have a 10-year warranty. You can wash and dry MyPillow, and I give you a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose.
And here's Mike's best offer ever. MyPillow is now offering 50% off their 4-pack special plus free shipping. Go to MyPillow.com or call 800-951-5617 and use promo code FTL. That's 50% off plus free shipping. Don't delay. Order now.
Free Talk Live.
Are you saying there's something wrong with a gay couple adopting children?
Absolutely.
What could possibly be wrong about that?
Then the children are going to be raised by queers instead of by,
You are homophobic, aren't you, Tom?
No.
I think so.
But anyway.
What's wrong with them being raised by gay people?
Because gay people are unfit to raise children.
Oh, how dare you?
I object a lot. I had a friend who was adopted by gay parents, and he grew up just fine with completely normal values, and he's a very normal, functioning member of society.
I've met plenty of gay people in my time who I thought would make fantastic parents and would be far better parents than many of the white trash parents that are out there raising kids today. Tom, do you know any gay people?
I try not to, but...
Yeah, well, that figures, and you're about done. Thanks for the call.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Plus, we've got the Discord on-air call-in lines available over at discord.lrn.fm. There's also chat rooms and voice chats. So some of the Discord peoples, Discordians, what would that be? a proper term. I'm not really sure what to call the people that live in Discord, but
trolls.
I just refer
that, but they get upset when I call them what they are. So I'm trying to come up with a different term.
I just think of it as an adjective.
So the Discorders, the Discordites, they can voice chat with one another in addition to calling into the show over at discord.lrn.fm. So let's actually jump a little bit further back into this story from CNN about Defense Secretary James Mattis putting in his letter of resignation earlier today. The time on this story is actually, well, it was updated at the beginning of the show, 7 o'clock p.m. The resignation again came earlier today with Mattis citing irreconcilable policy differences, mainly because President Donald Trump has said that he wants to withdraw U.S. troops from Syria. The letter states in part, the letter being the resignation letter from Mattis, quote, "Because you have the right to have a Secretary of Defense whose views are better aligned with yours on these and other subjects, I believe it is right for me to step down from my position." Earlier Thursday, a senior administration official told CNN's Jake Tapper that Mattis was vehemently opposed to the Syria decision and a possible Afghan troop withdrawal as well. Indeed, Mattis's resignation letter amounts to a rebuke of several of Trump's foreign policy views, with the outgoing defense secretary touting the importance of U.S. alliances and of being unambiguous in approaching adversaries such as Russia and China.
So basically, Trump's changing direction a little bit on Obama's policies. No. I guess it would be Bush's policies.
That were also Obama's policies.
Yeah. I'm just trying to remember when we weren't trying to actively destroy lots of countries in the Middle East. I guess Clinton?
No, maybe Carter?
So I'm trying
I don't
to
know. I was born during the Carter administration. Chris, I think you were probably voting by then.
Not by Carter. No, so let's go back through this. So we have Clinton chasing Osama bin Laden all around the Middle East. He was doing that. He was trying to take him out. Before that, we had Bush 1.
H.W.
Bush, who was, I'm trying to think of what interventions he did. Was that still
the
Lebanon?
First Iraq War.
Yeah, there was the first Iraq War where
Desert Shield.
It started off with Operation Desert Storm, that then became Desert Shield.
Was it the other way around? I think
it was Desert Storm.
Okay,
no,
I'll
because
take your word.
It was like Hellfire and Brimstone on January 15th, I think it was.
Yeah, those of us who had our afternoon DuckTales interrupted by CNN remember what it was.
Yeah,
and then there were the Scud missiles, and I think it was Anderson Cooper that may have been the embedded reporter over there somewhere, and he's got one of these gas masks on because, they
expected
bad weapons, and they were expecting chemicals, and whoever it was in the studio back in Atlanta. So I realize that you're told that you're supposed to wear the mask, but it's kind of hard to understand you. Can you take it off and go stand by the window and tell us what you see?
Oh, they
oh
had
my
no
goodness.
Idea. But it was the first time, I think, for a generation who really got to watch combat on television.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We really hadn't
because there wasn't, during that weird sort of the enemy of my enemy is my friend, where we were buddies with Saddam before, 2 years later, not being buddies with him anymore. That sort of weird standoff with Iran. There wasn't really a lot of boots on the ground during that.
Nobody really knew what the new international configuration was going to be after the Cold War, and so he thought he had an opportunity and he took it, and it turns out that didn't work out too well for him.
Well, I was thinking the Iran-Iraq thing happened before the end of the Cold War. There was the Iran-Contra scandal, which I vaguely remember. I think I was in elementary school when that was happening, so I was aware that it was a thing, but I wasn't intimately familiar with details.
You weren't very familiar with Oliver North's face on television all the time, and his.
Oh no, I remember the face
with his hand always swearing
and
to
isn't
tell the
he
truth.
now the head of the NRA, despite being a felon?
He might be. I don't know. I don't really follow the NRA much anymore.
Yeah, I just seem to remember people posting, sort of the irony of the head of the NRA not being legally allowed to own firearms.
Yeah.
Maybe the NRA is just kind of like, what if they rolled over and peed on their leg about this week? Like they just basically
bump
keep,
stocks. They
bump stocks.
caved in on bump stocks.
Yeah, and it's like...
Which all of mine were lost in boating accidents, and my boats were lost in hunting accidents.
Yeah, I saw an interesting thing where somebody basically showed how to do the same thing with a rubber band. So
I did that
That's illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rubber bands are now illegal. Thanks, Obama.
Well, yeah, a rubber band if you need help. The other thing to do is hold the firearm loosely and hold your index firing finger very steady, and then just let the recoil bounce into your shoulder.
This is not legal advice.
Yeah. Well, no, it's reporting on something that is so insane, ridiculous, and unconstitutional.
So
that
now
it
your
deserves
arm
to be
is illegal.
Made fun of, right? So what are we going to do? Start chopping off index fingers because it's a potential bump fire weapon.
My favorite summary of this week has been Trump has now enacted more gun control and ended more wars than Obama.
Yeah.
For all the Trump fans out there and all the Obama fans out there.
Hold on,
gotta
which
be
wars has Trump actually
supposedly
ended?
He's ending the war in Syria. We'll see if that actually happens because somebody else may go talk to him next.
Right.
But at least announce that he was ending it.
Right. Well, and if Mad Dog quit over it, then there might be some
he
legs
might be
to
serious.
this one. Who knows?
Yeah, the CNN article here continues. The resignation emerged at a chaotic moment in Trump's presidency. The U.S. government is teetering on the edge of a government shutdown. The Trump administration is about to face the hot light of Democratic investigations, and the president is grappling with the fallout of a series of firings and resignations. Trump, seeking to downplay the news, stepped out in front of Mattis's resignation, spinning it as retirement. Mattis did not explicitly cite his opposition to the president's planned withdrawal of troops from Syria, which caught U.S. allies off guard, but the retired four-star general was privately adamant in urging Trump against the pullback. It was just the latest issue on which Mattis has sought to position himself as a bulwark against some of the president's rashest decisions, but his relationship with the president has grown increasingly fractured in recent months, and his efforts to deter Trump on key issues less influential. In the letter, Mattis pointedly stated that the strength of the U.S. depends in part on the strength of its alliances around the globe, many of which have become notably frayed under Trump. There's more to this, plus your calls and thoughts. Plus, Chris, I think you've got a little bit more about the actual possible pullout from Syria, as well as some cannabis news. And no, it's probably not what you heard. Probably not. And it's not good news either. This is Free Talk Live, 855-450 free.
Hear that? That's the sound of a house being trashed while a gang of thieves ransack the place. And what they don't steal will be destroyed.
This year, resolve not to be the next victim of a break-in. Go to faketv.com and discover a device that creates the illusion someone inside is watching TV, even when you're miles away. Security is a mindset, and Fake TV should be part of your security solution. Be vigilant, but not fearful. faketv.com.
You may need this herbal tea for relief right away, so write this down. DRMILLERS clinic.com. If you take meds, then suffer stomach distress, constipation, indigestion, acid reflux, and bloating, and nothing else helps, get Dr. Miller's Holy Tea or Super Holy Tea, a cleansing, detoxifying herbal tea now available at great rates direct from Dr. Miller's office. Call or click 888-660-7039 or DRMILLERS clinic.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And want to make sure that you know, well, actually, I want to make sure that you know that Bitcoin.com wants you to know about SaveAtPurse.com. I actually just placed an order about an hour ago, put a couple of things in, looking for 33% off, and wound up getting notified at the beginning of the show that the order had been accepted. So right at half an hour is how long I waited to save 33% on things that I wanted to buy from Amazon. Nice. One of them, something that I definitely need. The other, something that I thought would be nice to have. And, you know what? Not in a hurry. Slap it in the cart, ask for 33%, and what do you know? It's already been accepted. And you can use both Bitcoin, BTC, and Bitcoin Cash, BCH, over at saveatpurse.com. That's save, A-T, purse, saveatpurse.com. And again, that is something that Bitcoin.com wants you to know about. And if you want news about various crypto things, you can head over to news.bitcoin.com. So let's jump back a little bit more from this CNN piece about James Mattis's resignation. James Mattis, by the way, the guy that they call Mad Dog, who, according to some, was supposed to be the voice of reason within the Trump administration. Well, not so reasonable when it comes to Syria, where Trump, surprisingly, has said that he wants to end U.S. involvement in that weird sort of civil war thing that at last count, I think, has displaced about 55 or 60% of people in Syria.
It's a big number.
Yeah. That's a huge percentage. Some of those have been internally displaced. about half of the displaced have been externally displaced, meaning that they have just completely fled Syria altogether.
And a lot of them ended up in Europe. And the Europeans are not really welcoming them with open arms.
Right.
I think they kind of were at first, but then they have changed their tune a little bit.
Yeah. Continuing on, the letter from Mattis that, again, his resignation letter says, one core belief I have always held is that our strength as a nation is inextricably linked to the strength of our unique and comprehensive system of alliances and partnerships. While the U.S. remains the indispensable nation in the free world, we cannot protect our interest or serve that role effectively without maintaining strong alliances and showing respect to those allies. Mattis met with Trump one-on-one in the Oval Office, according to a senior White House official. Mattis told Trump he was going to be leaving and offered his resignation letter. The official said they had differences on some issues. You don't say. Mattis says irreconcilable policy differences.
It sounds like a divorce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Irreconcilable differences. It sounds like a no-fault divorce.
Trump then went to Twitter saying General Jim Mattis will be retiring with distinction at the end of February after having served my administration as Secretary of Defense for the past 2 years. The president touted the tremendous progress that has been made during Mattis's tenure at the helm of the Department of Defense and thanked him for his service. Trump said a successor will, quote, be named shortly. In a sign of the swift nature of the resignation, a senior White House official found out about them from the president's tweets, according to other officials. Senior administration officials could not say if the armed forces were told before seeing the tweet.
Well,
he doesn't tell people things. Like, there's people who got fired that found out about it because they saw him tweeting about it. He doesn't tell people first. He just tweets whatever pops into his head.
It's more efficient. I mean, right? If you just, here's my phone. I mean, I could blast out some insane news at any time, day or night, even if I'm laying in bed watching my 3 televisions and eating McDonald's. I could do that.
Yeah.
Another thing Trump allegedly does. So
right. And doesn't he also allegedly eat fried chicken with a knife and fork?
I don't know. I've never heard that one.
Yeah, I thought I had heard that.
Do you?
No.
Do you?
I just know that he eats steaks like well done with ketchup on them, and that just kind of horrified me so much.
Never trust anybody that eats a well done steak
with ketchup.
Yeah, at that point you're dead to me.
Yeah,
no
so
offense, Mr. President,
just,
that's not a threat. You're just dead to me.
I just tried to avoid his any more information about his dietary habits after I heard about that abomination.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Chris, let's jump in. If you've got that Syria story pulled up, let's jump into that because, again, that seems to be sort of the straw that broke the defense secretary's back here was Trump's announcement that he wants to withdraw U.S. troops from Syria.
Yeah, and this story comes to us from the New York Times. Trump says the U.S. should not be, quote, policeman of the Middle East. Well, Mr. Trump, despite your well-done steaks and eating fried chicken with knife and fork, I'm with you on this one.
Dear Diary, today Trump did something good.
Well, they occasionally accidentally do things.
If he follows through.
Right, that's the whole thing.
Somebody else may go talk to him, and then he'll change his mind again.
Correct. President Trump on Thursday defended his plan to withdraw American troops from Syria against mounting criticism from Republicans and Democrats and concerns from his military and diplomatic advisors who were caught off guard by his abrupt announcement a day earlier. Quote, getting out of Syria was no surprise, unquote, Mr. Trump wrote in one of a series of Twitter posts on Thursday morning. He presented a string of justifications for his decision, including supporting quotes from a few who applauded his agenda. The president also pushed back against reports, which he derided as, quote, fake news, unquote, that the American military exit from Syria would advance Russian and Iranian foreign policy objectives. In Moscow, President Vladimir V. Putin of Russia said he supported the plan and called it, quote, the right decision, unquote. And they list a couple of his tweets. There were still few, if any, specifics available about how the United States military would accomplish the logistical undertaking of withdrawing 2,000 troops amid Syria's continuing 7-year civil war and remaining pockets of Islamic State fighters. In what appeared to be an attempt to assure critics that pulling out was the correct course and that the Islamic State was no longer a threat to Americans, Mr. Trump tweeted, quote, I am building by far the most powerful military in the world. ISIS hits us, they are doomed! Exclamation point. Unquote. So I guess his feeling is that he has built this massive military power, evidently in his 2 years, and ISIS just isn't a threat.
Well, and I seem to recall that Trump, when he was campaigning, and some argue that he still is campaigning, just no longer for the 2016 election, but he said that he would get rid of ISIS within 30 days. He said that he would bomb the S out of them, and he said a bunch of other things. And, well, it's been a lot longer than 30 days, and the Islamic State is still a thing. But my question, instead of just getting troops out of Syria, which, if they actually get the troops out and not in this weird Iraq sort of thing to where, oh, no. The people that are over there now that have U.S. military outfits on and, military equipment, they're advisors.
Right.
When are we going to get the almost 35,000 U.S. troops out of Germany? When are we going to get the 12,000 U.S. troops out of Italy? The almost 9,000 out of the UK?
What about South Korea?
South Korea, Japan.
Yep.
Let's get all of those out, too.
I like it.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450, free. Your calls and thoughts welcome. We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Hugs at the arrival gate.
Hey, I missed you so much.
Seeing your best bud for the first time in a long time. Family and friends around the table. At Lincoln, we know the holidays are filled with moments like these, when we realize that the greatest wish of all is one that brings us together. In that spirit, we invite you into our home during the Lincoln Wishlist event, where not coincidentally, we're making wishes come true with exceptional offers on the Lincoln family of luxury vehicles. The Lincoln Continental, the MKZ, the MKC, the new Nautilus, and the iconic Navigator. The Lincoln Wishlist event, because wishes really do come true at your Lincoln dealer.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. The LRN.FM's social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl,
Chris,
and Jackie.
And we'll get back into this story about, possibly some good news if you're a peace activist, assuming that things actually go the way that they're being reported as possibly maybe going. But first, I want to make sure that I tell you about Liberty.menu. Liberty.menu is a tool for our community. At its core is a directory of events, businesses, digital content, and more of businesses and other things that are owned and operated and run by liberty-minded people. Listings can be rated and reviewed, kind of like a Yelp, but there's also a bit of a social networking aspect where you can actually connect and share with other users. Use of Liberty.menu is exclusively for individuals who reject the initiation of force and those who agree to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle. Put your voluntarist ideas into action at Liberty.menu. And since it's free to use, we can't give you a discount because 10% off of zero is still zero. What we can do is give you a special Free Talk Live listener badge when you use the code FTL, as in Free Talk Live. Liberty.menu. Use code FTL. And, of course, your calls and thoughts are welcome about whatever is on your mind. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
So we've been talking about Donald Trump getting blasted from Republicans and Democrats and having his Secretary of Defense quit all over Syria.
Yes.
Because Donald Trump says that we have such a powerful military now that if ISIS hits us, they are doomed. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said the president's decision was made with, quote, lots of consultation between all the senior level officials, including myself, unquote.
Now, I'm curious here, and I've not read this article, Chris, that you have, and I don't know if any of the news outlets even mention Turkey.
I don't know.
Because I know that there has been for quite a while some conflict, if you will, between the United States and Turkey. Turkey being one of our allies, because Turkey was upset that the U.S. military has been assisting the Kurds in fighting ISIS. So the Turks fighting ISIS, the Kurds also fighting ISIS, but the Turks are upset that the Kurds were fighting ISIS with the assistance of the U.S. military. And I think there were actually some skirmishes between the Kurds and the Turks.
So it was Washington that referred to foreign entanglements, correct?
George Washington.
George Washington, that's who I'm referring to.
Yep.
Warned us of the dangers of foreign entanglements.
Yes.
When you can't describe what's going on in a war, as in who do we think are the good guys and who are the bad guys, who's on our side, who's on their side.
Well, when you fund all sides, then everybody's the good guy, right?
That's kind of the problem here. And
how many different reports have we had about shipments of U.S. munitions ending up in the hands of the Islamic State?
Well, you get actual newsreel footage of the Islamic State driving around in U.S. military vehicles. A lot of that was left behind when we pulled out of Iraq for the 19th time.
Some of it was, but then some of the stuff was airdropped and oops, we missed the target by 45 miles.
Right.
And everything fell in this ISIS camp instead of falling in the camp where the Peshmerga was.
But we've got some great pictures of John McCain meeting with the folks from ISIS, and doing his deals to try to get arms into their hands so they could fight the real bad guys, whoever the real bad guys are.
Right, and the U.S. government has maintained from the beginning that the real bad guy was Bashar Assad,
right?
Who, interestingly enough, is going to remain as Syrian president, but somehow now it's not about getting rid of him, even though it previously had been all about regime change.
Right. And folks, I mean, when you get down to who really wins out of these things, the people that really win are the people that finance these convoluted struggles. So we could not do these types of things. We could not be involved if we did not have unlimited money through central banking. And I hate to bring this back to economics, but this is really what it is. We can now fight cheap wars because you, listening at home on your radio dial, there's no way you would have paid for 19 years of war. That has never occurred in history. People just never stood for it. Well, 17, 18 years.
There was the 100 Years' War between England and France.
There's been raids, and I mean, basically perpetual warfare is sort of the norm for human history, whereas central banking is a rather new invention.
Right, but what I'm saying is we have not had warfare on the scale that we can have today for decades.
I think that's a function of technology and not of central banking.
I disagree with you wholeheartedly and completely. There's no way that you can tax a people or that an emperor or a king could afford long, protracted wars. The biggest thing that has stopped wars in the past has been how much money do we have to fight it. And what has always happened throughout history is it was either too high a cost in money or it was too high of a cost in blood, and both sides just backed away. Now, we got that starting with World War I. A lot of people got sucked into that because there were a lot of plans put in place. If we dismiss Britain's debt and assume it by the United States and we do this big shell game, then you have that going on. Go ahead.
So in the past, people would be more likely to engage in total warfare, and they would just take what they wanted from the native populations as they tore through territory. And now we have just war theory. And so I would say modern warfare, in that we actually try to adhere to some moral standards, if one can have those in war. Yeah, that requires, quite a bit of money. But when you were just going in and taking what you wanted from territory that you conquered and then just killing people and taking all their food and land and everything, people would join up just because, like, hey, after I take over this territory, you can have this part of it.
Right.
And
but that has certainly changed in the 20th century.
Yeah.
And Keynes talked about this a lot following World War I, because that was one of the things that he was allegedly studying. And he wrote a very famous letter to FDR saying, you have, and I'm going to paraphrase here, you have now the ultimate public works program. You can keep the economy going by getting involved in Europe. In World War II, These are opportunities. Don't see them as bad. But what I'm saying is we have gone from 2001 when we first, after 9/11, I'm talking about the real conflict that we're in now, till today with tax cuts. Tell me how that's economically feasible in any possible way. We have spent trillions of dollars.
Well, I could tell you about this crazy thing that's still bothering my brain that I heard on, I believe it was Planet Money about a month ago. It's called modern monetary theory. And let's see,
But that doesn't explain what he's asking.
No, it's like it actually does explain the whole idea of that you can just sort of spin and spin and spin. So the idea is that we think that taxes and expenditures are supposed to be linked in some way. And so there's this group, and they call themselves modern monetary theorists. Now, that's with capital letters, MMT. So it's the name they've chosen for themselves. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's accepted.
And it's not, their nickname is not empty.
No, I don't think so. But they say that the government should just, governments that can issue fiat currencies, like at the federal level, just prints money to just pay for things, anything at once. And the function of taxes is not to pay for those expenditures, but to control inflation. So there's the actual resource capacity of the economy, and then there's how much money is chasing after those actual resources.
Right.
And if they print too much money, that inflation's starting up, then you tax not to pay for the expenditures, but to pull some of the money back out of the economy to stop inflation. And it just it like takes the way we normally look at monetary and fiscal policy and like flips it into this whole other dimension, and it hurts my brain.
No, it's straightforward. This is Keynes.
It is sort of what they're doing.
This is that's what they've been doing.
Keynes was fiscal policy, though, was his primary concern.
No. Keynes was also deeply involved in monetary theory and monetary policy. We can come back to this.
Your calls and thoughts about monetary policy. Should taxes even exist? I don't think they should, so I'm totally opposed to let's tax the money to get it out of circulation. No, just get the government out of all of it. This is Free Talk Live, 855-450 free.
Marijuana has unleashed a green gold rush across our nation. It's creating $10.8 billion in new wealth a year. And every day, it's transforming more and more Americans into millionaires. In an historic event, former Speaker of the House John Boehner reveals how you could become one of them. Join him online for the American Cannabis Summit. Attendance is 100% free, but space is limited. Join online at www.acs2018.com. This event is the first of its kind ever. John Boehner and an esteemed panel will reveal which cannabis stocks are primed to deliver life-changing windfalls in the weeks and months ahead. Plus, they will show you how to become a cannabis angel investor, backing the hottest startups before they potentially become worth billions of dollars. Join American Cannabis Summit online at acs2018.com. Attendance is free. That's acs2018.com.
How many lawyers does it take to change a light bulb? None. They'd rather keep their clients in the dark. There are too many lawyer jokes to count. However, there are some lawyers with more noble intentions. At the Institute for Justice, we bring the light to our clients. We are a non-profit public interest law firm with clear values and principles. At IJ, we fight for those whose most basic rights are denied by the government. Visit our website today at ij.org.
Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, December 20th, 2018. Silver is trading at $14.80 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,261 per ounce. Zen is trading at $6, and the average price of Bitcoin is $4,085. Antiwar.com reports, according to reports on Saudi state-run TV, Saudi warplanes attacked an air base in the Yemeni capital city of Sana'a. The official narrative claimed that they saw a drone on the ground preparing to carry out an attack. This was the first major attack since last week's peace talks. The attacks hit the immediate outskirts of the Sana'a International Airport, which during peace talks were agreed to be safely reopened. Meanwhile, the other major agreement of the talks, the ceasefire in Hodeidah, continues to tentatively hold. Both sides are accusing the other of violations, and the locals are reporting explosions and gunfire somewhat throughout the day. Still, the ceasefire is more or less holding for now. Officials are urging the UN to scramble monitors into the area to keep an eye on the ceasefire with hopes that the deal can be saved. Under the deal, all factions are to remove forces from Hodeidah within 21 days of the ceasefire, which began Tuesday. The pullouts still aren't really happening, but this is unsurprising as both sides don't trust the other to keep their bargain without UN monitors in place. In 1999, Darryl W. Perry began a search for traditional values, which led him down a path to the ideas of liberty. He tells the story in A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty. Of the book, Dr. Brian Sovereign says, "Sometimes it's funny, and sometimes I think it's crazy, but it's always authentic." Ask for A Rebel's Journey wherever books are sold, or visit arebelsjourney.com. UPI reports Uber is launching a program that encourages drivers to report any suspicious activity of riders to the police. The program, which is coordinated with Crime Stoppers USA, will launch in 5 U.S. cities: Jacksonville, Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, Indianapolis, Indiana, New Orleans, Louisiana, and Las Vegas, Nevada. It will utilize an app that allows drivers to send anonymous tips to law enforcement via Crime Stoppers, which already has networks set up in those 5 cities. Crime Stoppers sometimes gives cash rewards to tipsters, and Uber drivers will be eligible for compensation. Drivers, however, will not receive any special training about what activity they should report. Barb Burgeon, chairwoman of Crime Stoppers USA, told UPI they are encouraged to report any information that they see or hear about during their travel, adding Uber encourages the drivers to beware of potential human trafficking situations and other crimes. Bottom line is, if drivers are concerned or suspicious, they are encouraged to report. Zencash is now Horizon. Horizon is a privacy platform built on zero-knowledge technology with a decentralized secure node architecture. The Horizon platform enables real-life uses beyond currency, including the ability to privately chat with other people. Soon, Horizon will enable you to publish information and go anywhere on the web, all with complete privacy. Horizon, bringing privacy to life. Learn more at horizon.global, HORIZEN.global. Reuters reports a federal judge on Wednesday struck down Trump administration policies aimed at restricting asylum claims by people citing gang or domestic violence in their home countries and ordered the U.S. government to bring back 6 deported migrants to reconsider their cases. The ruling is the latest legal setback for the White House on immigration. Last month, the judge in San Francisco ordered a halt to a policy that prevented those entering illegally from Mexico from seeking asylum. The policy at the center of Wednesday's ruling sought to limit the ability of immigrants to fight expedited deportation by narrowing the grounds for claiming credible fear if they returned home, the first step in a long asylum process. Thousands of people have traveled this year towards the southern U.S. border to escape gang violence and poverty in Honduras and El Salvador. The policy was challenged in a District of Columbia lawsuit brought by a dozen adults and children. U.S. Judge Emmett Sullivan said in a 107-page opinion that the policy violated both immigration and administrative law. Sullivan wrote, "And because it is the will of Congress, not the whims of the executive, that determines the standard for expedited removal, the court finds that those policies are unlawful." In a statement, the DOJ said administration policies sought to follow Congress's requirements that asylum be limited to those with a fear of persecution based on their race, nationality, religion, political opinion, or membership in a social group. For the last 3 months of 2017, the most recent numbers, the government conducted about 6,000 credible fear interviews monthly. The vast majority passed those interviews, allowing them to make their case for asylum in front of a U.S. immigration judge. The ruling clears the way for 4 mothers and 2 children to be returned to the United States. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
NASA's recent discovery of water on Mercury has led to speculation among scientists that the planet could potentially sustain an intergalactic space prison housing the universe's worst criminals. Scientists believe that organic compounds found on the planet's surface could be useful for creating an off-world space Australia, where strength is the only law. However, they caution it is too early to say whether or not fights among the space jail's prisoners would be broadcast here on Earth for the entertainment of wealthy gamblers. But NASA's lead researchers do say that Mercury's ability to support human life raises important questions about who the prison guards would be.
Perhaps the guards themselves would be space mercenaries, or maybe we'd just use robots.
The robots would have guns for hands.
Well, obviously.
Critics inside NASA caution against funneling too many resources into the Mercury project when it would be so much cooler to build a prison on the moon ruled by clones of the prisoners themselves. Researchers encourage the public to read their findings, which have been released in the form of a graphic novel titled The Mercury Cipher.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, kicking off hour number 2. You are free to call in and talk live with us by dialing 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Plus, there's the Discord on-air call-in lines available over at discord.lrn.fm. The us in studio tonight is Darryl,
Chris,
and Jackie.
And we started off talking about Mad Dog Mattis, the supposed voice of reason within the Trump administration, resigning because he doesn't like that Trump apparently has decided that he wants to get the U.S. military mostly out of Syria. And then that led into a discussion about the war in Syria that somehow led to a discussion about something called modern monetary theory that is just strange. And Jackie, you described it as a sort of a disconnect between taxation and government spending.
Yeah, so usually when we look at macroeconomic policies, we traditionally think of fiscal policy and monetary policy as two different tools. And this group of economic scholars who call it modern monetary theory, so just again, this is capital letters. I'm not saying I'm not saying this is the modern understanding of mainstream economists as far as monetary theory goes, because it's not. It's pretty fringe. It's fringe but growing, and it messes with my head. And they're basically arguing that fiscal policy and monetary policy for a government that controls its own currency, like the U.S. federal government that has a fiat currency, that they're the same. And so basically, the government just spends money on whatever it wants, and it doesn't have to worry about tax revenues covering these expenditures, because they argue that the purpose of taxes is not to pay for government spending, but to pull money out of the economy when inflation starts up.
When it overheats. That's Keynesian.
So basically, I mean, you think about there's the actual real resource capacity of the economy as far as the factors of production go: land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship. And if there's too much money chasing those things, then prices start to rise.
Wrong. I love saying just things like that. Yeah. In this, I'm saying you're stark raving mad. No differently.
Oh, I'm not arguing in favor of this. Okay. I'm just saying that I see where they're coming from, and they're kind of right in that is how the U.S. federal government acts.
If you want to call it,
that's how they're acting.
If you want to call it,
it's not a good idea. No, it's not how they're supposed to act, but it kind of shows how they do act. And they're arguing their arguments, which I do not agree with, because I don't think the government should run. I mean, because it requires a great deal of centralized control and planning and a very large government to run an economy like this. And I'm more of a fan of spontaneous order and nobody trying to run the economy.
Correct.
But if you're in favor, and if you think that, these benign economic technocrat overlords can, run things to the benefit of everybody, which I disagree with. I'm just arguing their position here, though. Then their argument is basically it should run like this, which it already sort of is. So let's just explicitly do it this way. And they're kind of right. Like, if you look at the fact, like, for decades now, we've been hearing, oh my God, the federal government debt, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and there's going to be a catastrophe. The government's insolvent. And yet the catastrophe hasn't happened yet.
Right.
If their theory of just spending, and it doesn't matter if tax revenues and spending match, like they're kind of accurately describing what's going on.
I remember when the national debt hit this astronomical number, $4 trillion. And I was like, oh, it can't last much longer than this.
Right.
This was back in the 90s.
Right.
When it hit $4 trillion, and now we're looking at, 21? I think we just crossed 21. We're about to cross 21.
Right. What have we spent in Iraq and Syria and Afghanistan?
Oh, we actually covered that a couple of weeks ago where somebody did all the number crunching, and it was trillions.
Right. And we have $20 trillion that the Defense Department can't accurately account for.
That was as of 2 years ago.
Right, but there was a new study coming out that said something similar. What my simple point is...
That new article cited the report from 2016.
Okay. But what I'm saying is you cannot have decades of wars with our modern costs, and we'll accept the fact that technology is advanced and it's more expensive without militant Keynesianism. And that's what has fueled us. That's what has caused us to be able to fight all these wars and for all these people to die. There is a direct correlation.
I just want to kind of step back to sort of just a higher level thing, because sometimes people misunderstand me and think I'm arguing in favor of something that I'm not. So I just want to clarify the difference between positive economics and normative economics. So positive economics is just describing the way things work, that as you can see them working. Normative economics is the one that's based on like your values and what you actually think things should be.
Right.
So
and I would question the use of the way it works.
Yeah. So,
but I don't think it works.
Well, I mean,
the way it functions.
Yeah. The way it I would argue with functions.
Yes. Okay.
Because I don't think it does.
Like
the way
describing,
it is.
yeah, the way it is. Like describing the actual mechanistic processes in the economy. If you were to liken it to like describing, physical processes, like how a machine operates or fails to operate when the gears don't work, or how a tornado forms. Like a tornado is a bad thing. You don't want it to happen, but you can still sit down and discuss the physics and the atmospheric science behind the functioning of the tornado and where it came from and what it does.
And then there's bound to be a libertarian somewhere that says, oh, so you're in support of tornadoes.
Yeah. So, because I for a while back there was some silliness in the LP recently in which...
LP being Libertarian
Party, yes.
Recently?
Yeah, no, well, I mean, there always is, but there was some silliness... when was it? Earlier this year, I think, or maybe it was last year. I can't remember. It was after the convention with the Libertarian Socialist Caucus.
Yes.
And people freaked out. They thought, I know, I remember I called my dad up about this, who actually is a socialist. And as soon as he heard the Libertarian Socialist Caucus, he just started laughing.
I don't blame him.
So the candidate for chair from this caucus wound up getting 12 votes.
No, 13, I think.
Are there 13 people?
13 votes, yeah.
13 people in
that
caucus.
Don't take away 8% of his vote, Darryl.
Yeah.
So I was trying to explain their rationale to the rest of the party, and now there's apparently this whole wing of the party that thinks I'm a socialist. And it's like, no, I love capitalism. Capitalism is one of the greatest institutions humans have ever invented. And if you look at, our best estimates of, standard of living as represented by GDP per capita with, dollars that have been normalized to a set year, it kind of dinks along, even with all the technological improvements over time. It kind of just sort of dinks along, rising a little bit, rising a little bit, rising a little bit. And then when we start inventing capitalism in 15th, 16th, 17th centuries, when all those institutions come together, you see takeoff.
Yeah.
And the more developed the institution of capitalism and its associated supporting institutions, are created, the better development gets. And we've had some mixed success introducing it to the rest of the world. The economist Hernando de Soto argues that it's because the rest of the world doesn't have the same institutions of property rights that we've developed very, very well, and specifically in the West, and even more so in the United States.
Yes, he does.
And so he's been working on that in other countries, like getting secure land titles and whatnot. And then once they get that right, they start taking off as well. And that's capitalism. Like, I love capitalism. It has done more for humans than anything else. But I understand where the socialists are coming from. So I just want to say I can understand this theory. It doesn't mean I agree it's how it should work.
If you understand Keynesianism, then all I can say is you have the capacity of understanding the ununderstandable. So after your post, because it infuriated me.
The one on where I argued that Keynes was trying to save capitalism.
It was something to the effect that he was one of the most influential economists of the 20th century.
Yes,
and we have to recognize that. I say that is the same as recognizing that Hitler did a great job with addressing the Jewish problem.
Well.
No, but you still have to teach that he existed and what he did.
He was the man of the year.
I won't glorify either one of them.
For being the most newsworthy doesn't mean he was good. Just he made a lot of news. This is Free Talk Live.
What is it costing you in vet bills for that convenience of just pulling open a bag of
formulated, extruded, processed cereal bits that cost a ton of money anyways?
How do you feed your dog to derive not only energy, but a good coat, bright eyes, and a great attitude?
Come to Dynovite for help.
DINOVITE.com.
I found his raw meat diet on Dynovite.com with just the raw meat and the eggs and the Dynovite and the Super Omega on top of it.
Try Super Omega Fish Oil.
Buy 2, get 1 free.
Ground beef, white rice, eggs, including the shells, and the Dynovite supplement, and then the Lico Chops.
Try Lico Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free.
It just balances out his body and his mind and his spirit.
Adding Dynovite to their diet has every single dog in my kennel looking better than they have ever looked.
Their skin is so much better now that they're on the raw diet. I don't even give them the kibble anymore.
DINOVITE.com.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
Do you operate a retail business and are looking for a solution for point-of-sale cryptocurrency acceptance? It's never been easier thanks to AnyPay.global. There's no paperwork or approval process to open an account. If you already have a tablet at your cash register, you're almost done. Just sign up at AnyPay.global, drop your personal crypto wallet addresses in our setup page, and then load our app. That's it. You're accepting cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Dash at your store. Get started now at AnyPay.global. That's AnyPay.global. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark at freetalklive.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl,
Chris,
and Jackie.
And apparently, modern monetary theory is the name of a type of monetary theory that just... I understand all the words that are being said to describe it, but it doesn't make any logical sense.
No,
it doesn't.
Okay, now come on, you guys.
In that we're in agreement.
You're perfectly capable of suspending your disbelief and figuring out how something works within its own world rules. Like, I mean, Darryl, I'm sure you have opinions about, you know, how the magic of the dragons works in Game of Thrones versus the magic of the White Walkers. And even though neither of these things are real and it's all made up and it's kind of silly, you can have a discussion about how the system works. Or all of us watch The Good Place.
Yes.
That's another act of fiction, but we can talk about how the rules operate within The Good Place, the extent of Janet's powers, the whole point system, like. So you don't have to agree with a theory to be able to discuss it, because as Chris was saying,
I'm happy to discuss it all day long.
Chris was saying to me off the air,
silliness.
No, he was trying to say to me off the air, like, if you can understand Keynesianism and Keynesian theory, then you understand the incomprehensible. And it's like, you don't have to agree with something to understand it. You can just think of it as
right, that's
like a fictional magic system for a Dungeons and Dragons game.
That's what Keynesian is to me. It is fiction. It is this idea that a market cannot operate efficiently without government, and that is the core of Keynesianism. That you have to have the spending, because Keynesianism is all about spending. It is making sure that money is flowing through. And
isn't that what George Bush? You talked about, 18 almost over 17 years, starting the 18th year of the global war on terror.
Yes.
And there have been tax cuts. How does that happen? Well, George Bush said, go shopping. That will help the economy.
Because
that will fight terrorism.
Right. So another myth, at least in U.S. history, is that Reagan was the one who brought in this idea of sound fiscal policy, and
no.
I mean, conservatives will talk about this all day long. It's so completely false. He was very much into Friedman, so you have the Chicago School of Economics,
but that's
sort
monetary.
of represented.
That's more monetary policy than fiscal policy, and also it was Volcker who had more to do with bringing inflation under control than Reagan.
No, when I look at Chicago School, what I see is Keynesian light. They still want to control the economy through the Federal Reserve. They want to control the flow of money, whether it's in interest rates or whether it's in supply. The idea of supply side economics is not a free market idea. In a free market, buyers and sellers come together, and more money will be directed at the supply side if there's more demand. But when government tries to manipulate these things, which is all Keynes wanted to do, was to control it. Before Keynes, economics was referred to as, quote, the dismal science. It was just uninteresting. So Keynes comes in and he writes, his grand opus, The General Theory of Employment, Interest, and Money, and he's suddenly a rock star. The problem is there have been no results since Keynes's opus that have demonstrated this actually works for anyone except for governments and banks.
Well,
they are the ones that benefit.
There's plenty of evidence that Keynesianism works in a short-run situation.
Oh,
I'll give you 5-10 minutes.
No, it works longer than a shorter situation.
Before it blows up.
You're
Socialism
kicking the can down the road. Now, I will agree with you that you can have markets without government, but I will say you cannot have capitalism, which is more than just markets, without government. Because to have capitalism, you have to be able to build and develop and maintain control over capital, the means of production, and that requires having property rights over more land, factories, equipment than you personally can control at any one time. So you need somebody to enforce that, and if you just don't want like warlords with their private armies fighting over whose factory it is, then you have a system of government enforcing property rights.
Well, and the original definition of capitalism is a regulated economy.
Right.
So, like, the original definition implies there's going to be some kind of regulation. Capitalism does not now, nor has it ever meant free market.
Right, which is why I'm the only guy here who hasn't said capitalism.
Let's go to, I said it to define what it is. I'm an advocate for free markets. Let's go to Sarah calling in from New Mexico, who is not an advocate for free markets.
Or capitalism.
Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts. Sarah?
Hello?
Yeah,
Are
go
you
ahead.
with me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, it was announced that the biggest killer worldwide, again, has been auto-related fatalities.
Is it really?
So,
I got to Google that, Sarah. I got to fact check you.
Yeah, every time I see the top cause of death, heart disease is number one.
She probably means the top cause of accidental, non-natural death.
What do you mean?
Yeah, this is worldwide, by the way.
Yeah.
Right.
Cancer, number 2.
The Google
Chronic lower respiratory disease, number 3. Accidents, number 4. So you're in the top 5 if you're including all forms of accident.
She probably means premature death.
Yeah, what do you mean? Because by no accounting is this what you're saying true.
Well, this was done by some organization.
Oh.
And this is, I guess, the worldwide.
Mothers Against Cars?
This is worldwide, not
you're talking about the World Health Organization. They're the ones that would track these statistics. And they say it's heart disease, stroke, pulmonary disease, respiratory infection, Alzheimer's, lung cancers, diabetes, road injury is number, let's see.
8? I'm seeing it as number 8.
Yeah, road injury is number 8. So it's the number one cause of non-disease death. But it's not the number one cause of death. And so I'm guessing you probably misheard something and are calling us up to Google it for you.
Generally what happens is Sarah mishears something and then calls in to tell us this thing. It's like telephone.
I know.
Yeah.
We get to tell
But, she calls us because she doesn't have internet at home. And so this is a public service that we provide is we are Sarah's human Google.
Google should, and Sarah, thank you for the call. Google should wind up creating some type of Alexa-type device for people that don't have the internet so they can call a number and then ask the question, and then Alexa tries to tell them the thing that they're looking for.
It's called your local reference library desk.
I was just thinking, imagine all the jobs that could be created and the boon to the economy if we would just roll out free internet to every man, woman, and child in the United States.
No, but seriously, like, Sarah, we should look up for her for the next time she calls. We should get the number of the reference librarian in. Where is she?
She's in Albuquerque.
Albuquerque, okay. Yeah, how could I forget that?
I don't know.
It's practically her name on
your
the show.
calls and thoughts welcome about whatever is on your mind, even if it's for us to Google something for you, although that's generally not good radio. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Coming up, there's some cannabis-related news. And no, it's not good. This is Free Talk Live.
Silver has always been nature's very own antibiotic, and only one system allows you to produce an endless supply of nano-sized silver solutions right from the convenience of your home. Silver Lungs. With the addition of our unique lung delivery system, respiratory infections are targeted directly, where traditional oral administration simply cannot reach. This pioneering method also preserves the original particle sizes and delivers your silver solution directly into the bloodstream. See the Silver Lungs generator and lung delivery system at silverlungs.com. That's silverlungs.com.
We know you've had Dragon's Breath in the morning, but you've got to experience Dragon's Breath at night. Wolf Hill Ammo's Dragon's Breath, an incendiary shotgun round in 12 gauge, 20 gauge, and a 410 with an amazing muzzle flash and a fireball that launches up to 125 yards. Pure fun to shoot. At Wolf Hill Ammo, we love shotguns and offer the best specialty shotgun ammo on the market. Visit wolfhillammo.com to see our large selection of specialty shotgun ammo at great prices with flat rate shipping. wolfhillammo.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Nesquik. Try Nesquik 4-packs, perfect for lunches and great for kids on the go. Look for it in the juice aisle. Snack time is a great chance to sneak extra calcium into your child's diet without making him feel like he's eating something he doesn't want. Serve up dairy-rich foods like smoothies, flavored milk, frozen yogurt, and string cheese. He'll love the treat, and you'll love knowing how good it is for him. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. That is the toll-free call-in line. It's how you can call in and join us and bring up whatever is on your mind. The us in studio tonight is Darryl,
Chris,
and Jackie.
And we'll jump into the cannabis story here in just a moment. But first, I want to ask you, when do you want to spot a burglar? Is it when he's outside the house or after he's already inside your house? I'm guessing you're probably thinking when he's outside. And, well, the Blink home security system can help you do that. The Blink security cameras are motion activated. They have indoor and outdoor cameras that are wire-free. They set up in minutes, and they run on 2 AA batteries that last up to 2 years. And if you're traveling over the holidays, which are coming up, Blink's live feed option lets you monitor your home and check in on your pets, or even maybe some deliveries that are left on your front porch anywhere that you happen to be using the Blink smartphone app. And here's the best part. There's no contracts. There's no subscriptions. The Blink system is totally affordable, and it works with Alexa. Alexa, check my Blink cameras. The Blink system makes a great holiday gift, and it's a brilliant way to, again, monitor holiday package deliveries. Save up to a whopping 40% off all outdoor XT and add-on cameras through December 22nd while supplies last. Visit blinkprotect.com/holiday. That's BlinkProtect, all one word, blinkprotect.com/holiday. Blink is an Amazon company.
So we've been teasing this, and you know how this show is. We loves to talk about our weed. Not my weed, because I really don't smoke weed. But one of the big things, Darryl, with legalization, if you legalize marijuana,
cannabis,
reefer,
cannabis,
the evil lettuce or whatever they call it.
No, that was recalled. That had romaine. The romaine had the E. coli.
Yeah,
that's the devil's lettuce.
We're good with that.
Didn't they also recall asparagus as well?
Oh, everything.
Like every green vegetable, I think, wound up getting recalled.
Everything's been recalled at one point or another. But we know that if you legalize it, then kids are going to start smoking pot. Right?
That's a claim.
It is a claim, but if I've heard this claim about every time they've legalized it, it must be true, right? Wrong. So we're just now starting to get some numbers out of Washington State, because that was one where they legalized in, 2012, 2014? 2012.
Yeah, 2012, I think they did same time as Colorado.
They did. Cannabis use by teenagers in Washington is dropped. Hold on, this is just throwing off my whole worldview. Has dropped since the drug was legalized in 2012, according to a study published Wednesday by the Journal of American Medical Association.
All right, so hold on. This is the Journal of the American Medical Association. This isn't, like normal.
Oh, it's a bunch of pot-smoking doctors, right? No,
putting this out.
No, this is probably a peer-reviewed paper, a study that was done by the American Medical Association, who tends to garner a little bit of respect. Right. Not all the time by me, but I would say as we look at health issues,
they are one of, if not the top medical journal.
Yeah. The study comprised 2 years of data from 2014 and 2016 and showed decreases in marijuana usage by teens in middle and high school. Use among 8th graders dropped from 9.8 to 7.3% over that period, and amongst 10th graders, use fell from 19.8 to 17.8. That's 2% drop. Use by seniors remained flat at just over 1 in 4 students, 26.7% during that period, according to the study. Legal age to consume marijuana in Washington is 21.
Now, I'm curious, and I have not pulled this study up, so I don't know if they talk about this. Do they look at the teen usage rate of alcohol? Because the lie that we were told about Colorado and Washington State is that cannabis would be regulated like alcohol, but yet there's all these regulations that apply specifically to cannabis that don't apply to alcohol.
Yeah, I don't know if it was comparative. The one
similarity is that you, under state law, have to be 21 to legally purchase, possess, or use.
Yeah, so for me to get into the pediatric section, I hit sort of at least a registration wall. But we'll see if we can pull this up, and we can maybe we'll talk about it at a later date. There was concern when the drug was legalized that use amongst youngsters would skyrocket. So researchers are finding the numbers encouraging, said Julia Dilley, one of the story's authors and a senior research scientist epidemiologist at the Oregon Health Authority and Multnomah County Health Department. She cautioned, however, that the data is limited and there's much to learn about the impacts of legalization on adolescents. That's let me translate that for you. That means we didn't get the results we expected,
right,
but we're going to keep looking at it until we do get the results that we expected.
Yeah.
Quote, rather than try and draw conclusions immediately, we need to keep looking at youth and different types of use and communities, she said. It's just far too soon to say what the impact of legalization is on youth, unquote. Well, you could look at other states and actually nation states that have gone through this. Portugal has basically decriminalized marijuana usage and that of all drugs since, what, Darryl,
2001. And what they wound up doing, now, Portugal, unlike Colorado, Washington, Massachusetts, and several other states, does not allow legal retail sales of recreational drugs.
It's all still black market.
So it's still black market, but they have removed criminal penalties for a personal use amount, which in Portugal is a 10-day supply.
Yeah.
If you had a 10-day supply of any illicit substance in the United States, you would be charged with intent to distribute.
Yep. So again, when Portugal tries this experiment in 2001, what do we hear? Oh my God. The youth of Portugal are screwed. They are just, the drug usage is going to go through the ceiling. And now we have, studies that seem to be suggesting that when these experiments take place in America, we're seeing the same sorts of things.
Right.
The study, which was published Wednesday in JAMA Pediatrics, was a joint effort from researchers at the RAND Corporation and other organizations, including the Washington State Liquor and Cannabis Board. The study used data collected by the Washington Healthy Youth Survey, an anonymous survey given every 2 years to 8th, 10th, and 12th graders. Mary Sagawa, public health education liaison to the Washington State Liquor and Cannabis Board, and one of the study's authors, stressed that additional studies and data are needed to get a clear picture of how legal cannabis is impacting youth. She said public health officials were holding their breath while Washington voters approved legalization, but one of the positives has been the open dialogue about marijuana use with adolescents.
So I haven't been able to find something specific to Washington State, but you asked what was happening with alcohol use. And so nationally, teen alcohol use is also down.
Right. I was just curious specifically in this study where, they're talking about cannabis. Did they also look at, because a lot of these things, they will ask, have you done this drug? Have you done this? Have you done that?
Right.
Yeah.
There's probably also, have you had intercourse?
Right.
Yeah. So all the information is at askhys, as in healthyyouthsurvey.net. And there you can click what fact sheets you want for which year and find anything you want. And this is, again, just Washington State.
Nice. Must be great spending that government money on these programs.
Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Your calls and thoughts welcome about whatever is on your mind. What were your thoughts on this? Is it surprising to you that, teen use is down?
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite.
Dynavite is nutrition.
Pick up 2 bottles of Lico Chops, get the 3rd bottle free.
New improved Lico Chops with omega-3, omega-6, vitamin E.
And now, 6 extra direct-fed microbials.
Even better for the digestive tract and immune system.
Try Lico Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dynavite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
Silver has always been nature's very own antibiotic, and only one system allows you to produce an endless supply of nano-sized silver solutions right from the convenience of your home. Silver Lungs. With the addition of our unique lung delivery system, respiratory infections are targeted directly, where traditional oral administration simply cannot reach. This pioneering method also preserves the original particle sizes and delivers your silver solution directly into the bloodstream. See the Silver Lungs generator and lung delivery system at silverlungs.com. That's silverlungs.com.
Want revenge on the common housefly? Well, after 10,000 years, someone has finally come up with a better way. The Bug Assault, a miniaturized shotgun, which utilizes ordinary table salt as ammunition. Non-toxic and no batteries required. So much fun, you'll forget you have a wife and kids. Makes the perfect stocking stuffer. Get your Bug Assault today and save $10 on the Bug Beam Laser Combo, only at bugassault.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl,
Chris,
and Jackie.
And you can also call us on the Discord call-in lines over at discord.lrn.fm. Or if you feel like watching us, and I know that some people do, you can head over to twitch.lrn.fm, and you can find the Twitch cams over there. And sometimes there's some eye candy on the Twitch cams.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Twitch.lrn.fm. And there's ways that you can, what's the terms that they use on Twitch? Subscribe is something different on Twitch than it is on YouTube,
Right.
Where subscribe means that you're actually giving us money during a month, and it's something that you have to manually renew every month. And really, I think hopefully the only people that are doing that are people that have an Amazon Prime account, because then it doesn't add anything extra to what they're paying. Amazon gives you one free Twitch subscription per month.
And somehow I missed this month. I thought I had a reminder set to up my subscription, but I went in there and it was like, ooh, I get to do it. So
so I think the other thing is follow, and then you get notifications when we go live. Yeah. And then subscribe is where we wind up getting a little bit of money.
Yeah.
And then I think they can also tip if they want to give extra money.
Yes.
And if somebody wants to tip on a night when I'm on, I'll bounce up and down in my chair.
Huh. So this is interesting. So, I mean, can we turn this into just a straight Thursday night profit-making venture?
We're kind of trying to do that.
Okay.
We got a big tip one night when I was on, and then I didn't know what happened because Ian suddenly handed me cash.
Yeah. Ian happened to have been in studio that night. He's out watching movies tonight. John Cena apparently is Bumblebee.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know if John Cena is actually the Bumblebee, but he's in Bumblebee, and I'm just assuming that he's the main character.
I have no idea what Bumblebee is.
It's a new Transformer movie.
That makes sense. You know, if you're dealing with Transformers, which, can I just remind people, it was just a stupid toy when we were growing up.
It was a stupid toy that had a 30-minute long per week commercial in the guise of cartoons.
Yeah, and that was sort of it, but it just
more than meets the eye.
And that was about it. You got sick of the commercial, and Jesus, and now it's it's millions and millions of dollars. So
I mean, I like action movies with car crashes and explosions, and it's even cooler when the cars that are like chasing each other in the high speed chases are also robots from space.
Right.
Like, that's awesome. I love this stuff. I'm basically a 13-year-old boy trapped in a 40-year-old woman's body.
Whatever works. I see the appeal. Go ahead.
You know, somehow this all ties back into cannabis.
It does, because these are the only times you would ever have these conversations.
Yeah, I know. It sounds like we're on cannabis right now, but we're not, because Darryl doesn't let us. He's very strict.
Yeah, there's a whole list of drugs we can't do while we're on the show.
Yes, caffeine is acceptable unless you're Mark.
Oh, caffeine is required in my case. So.
Yes. So we have been talking about this study that was released by JAMA, the Journal of the American Medical Association, specifically the pediatric area, where they found that in Washington state, since legalization of cannabis, teen use has actually declined.
No, I mean, I've actually bought cannabis at a few of the stores in Washington state because my whole family's out there, and I go back there about every other year or so. And they're really, I mean, I think what it is they're really strict about IDing people. Like, yep. I'm 40 now. I think when I last bought legal cannabis there, I was 38, and I got carded. They card. My mother's in her 60s. She got carded.
I went to Massachusetts on Green Tuesday. I'm a 40-year-old man. I got carded.
Hey, This has nothing to do with how the shop owners feel. This is just survival. If they get caught selling underage,
no. Yeah. So I'm fairly certain that there's a requirement that they ID everyone.
Oh, I don't doubt that. But what I'm saying is they are responding not to their own feelings of I want to make sure. They are, but they're being forced by gun by the state,
right? Whereby
to ID everyone, no matter how ridiculous.
Right.
When I get carded buying alcohol, really
with cigarettes and alcohol in most places, it's some kind of discretion of if you think they look under 40.
And that may even just be company policy and not the law. The law is just don't sell to anybody under 18 or under 21 or under 21 for both in Keene now.
Right. But you're facing entrapment if you sell to anyone that's even questionable, which is just silly.
Yeah. So, but I think a lot of company policies are card anybody who looks under 40.
Right.
And then they just err, and then employees don't want to get in trouble, so they just err on the side of carding everybody who doesn't have gray hair.
I've noticed that younger... I don't want to say teenagers, but like the people that are college age and lower, or the people that are probably close to retirement age, are the two groups that wind up asking me for ID. If it's somebody in between, I don't get asked for ID.
Yeah, if they're middle-aged, they know what a fellow middle-aged person looks like. But the old people, like the youngsters, all look the same, and the young people just don't have experience judging age very well.
I'm 40, and everybody that's like college age or lower, I'm like, oh yeah, they're 12.
Yeah, I honestly, everybody between the age of like 12 and 25 looks the same to me now.
The exception is the 50-plus-year-old sort of maybe grand milfy type who just wants to hit on you. Then she will card older gentlemen.
I've not had that experience, Chris.
Oh, you will. Trust me, you will. Can I see your ID? Oh, Jesus.
Sugar.
Here we go. Really?
So is there more to this story from the Seattle Times?
No, it is. The rest of it is basically backpedaling against results that they did not expect. The result they did not expect was that teen use of marijuana, of cannabis, did not increase. It actually went down. Everyone expected it to go up because for a lot of people, that's their worldview. And the rest of the article is just people saying it's too early to tell, even though it's been 4 years since this study ended.
Right.
Began.
It does also say at the very end, a similar study was done in Colorado that legalized at the same time, and there was a slight drop.
Yeah. So I don't understand why this wasn't obvious to everybody that this was going to happen, because incentives matter. When you were selling marijuana illegally, it's not like the penalties were that much worse if you sold to a 17-year-old versus to a 19-year-old. You're still getting popped for like felony intent to distribute.
Right. The question, it's not that. The question is there more desire? To me, the question is there more desire to do something that you're not allowed to do? That was the appeal of alcohol and tobacco and drugs when I was growing up. It was being a teenager and doing the taboo, doing what society said you couldn't do, or the law said you couldn't do, or most importantly, your parents said you couldn't do.
Right. Yeah, but there's that's the demand side, but on the supply side, incentives matter. If people are now primarily, and there's still like weed guys and illegal drug sales in Washington, even despite that. But, if you could just go and buy your weed legally without having to take the risk, and if people who want to be in the industry could just go and sell it industry through the stores, they don't want to lose their license by selling to someone underage. They don't want the business to get shut down by selling to someone underage. Incentives matter. So there's now a very strong incentive for them to card people. And if most of the industry is going through these legal channels now, they're again, in the past, if you're just going to your weed guy, he was going to go to prison whether you were 17 or 18.
This is just another example of modern economics perverting a marketplace without these threats. Do you think kids would be sold heroin on the streets if it wasn't against the law?
It is against the law, and people are selling kids heroin on the streets.
I'm just saying, if it were just a free, like if you could go to CVS Drugs and buy your heroin, do you think if there were no penalties, do you think a pharmacist is going to give it to an 8-year-old?
Probably not, and I would have to question where are that 8-year-old's parents.
Right.
Well,
right.
also, and the thing is even if there wasn't a law with a minimum age to buy heroin from CVS, the pharmacist probably, one, there's probably going to be a corporate policy. They have to worry about their corporate image. And two, the pharmacist will probably still belong to some sort of industry association or voluntary licensing scheme that they would have to adhere to a certain standard professional ethics.
So how many 8-year-olds? Government in that situation.
How many 8-year-olds bought heroin from the Sears catalog 105 years ago when you could actually have that delivered to your house?
Right.
Yeah.
This is Free Talk Live. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Call in about whatever is on your mind.
Marijuana has unleashed a green gold rush across our nation. It's creating $10.8 billion in new wealth a year. And every day, it's transforming more and more Americans into millionaires. In an historic event, former Speaker of the House John Boehner reveals how you could become one of them. Join him online for the American Cannabis Summit. Attendance is 100% free, but space is limited. Join online at www.acs2018.com. This event is the first of its kind ever. John Boehner and an esteemed panel will reveal which cannabis stocks are primed to deliver life-changing windfalls in the weeks and months ahead. Plus, they will show you how to become a cannabis angel investor, backing the hottest startups before they potentially become worth billions of dollars. Join American Cannabis Summit online at acs2018.com. Attendance is free. That's acs2018.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, December 20th, 2018. Silver is trading at $14.80 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,261 per ounce. Zen is trading at $6, and the average price of Bitcoin is $4,085. Antiwar.com reports, according to reports on Saudi state-run TV, Saudi warplanes attacked an airbase in the Yemeni capital city of Sana'a. The official narrative claimed that they saw a drone on the ground preparing to carry out an attack. This was the first major attack since last week's peace talks. The attacks hit the immediate outskirts of the Sana'a International Airport, which during peace talks were agreed to be safely reopened. Meanwhile, the other major agreement of the talks, the ceasefire in Hodeidah, continues to tentatively hold. Both sides are accusing the other of violations, and the locals are reporting explosions and gunfire somewhat throughout the day. Still, the ceasefire is more or less holding for now. Officials are urging the UN to scramble monitors into the area to keep an eye on the ceasefire with hopes that the deal can be saved. Under the deal, all factions are to remove forces from Hodeidah within 21 days of the ceasefire, which began Tuesday. The pullouts still aren't really happening, but this is unsurprising as both sides don't trust the other to keep their bargain without UN monitors in place. In 1999, Darryl W. Perry began a search for traditional values, which led him down a path to the ideas of liberty. He tells the story in A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty. Of the book, Dr. Brian Sovereign says, sometimes it's funny, and sometimes I think it's crazy, but it's always authentic. Ask for A Rebel's Journey wherever books are sold, or visit arebelsjourney.com. UPI reports Uber is launching a program that encourages drivers to report any suspicious activity of riders to the police. The program, which is coordinated with Crime Stoppers USA, will launch in 5 U.S. cities: Jacksonville, Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, Indianapolis, Indiana, New Orleans, Louisiana, and Las Vegas, Nevada. It will utilize an app that allows drivers to send anonymous tips to law enforcement via Crime Stoppers, which already has networks set up in those 5 cities. Crime Stoppers sometimes gives cash rewards to tipsters, and Uber drivers will be eligible for compensation. Drivers, however, will not receive any special training about what activity they should report. Barb Burgeon, chairwoman of Crime Stoppers USA, told UPI they are encouraged to report any information that they see or hear about during their travel, adding Uber encourages the drivers to beware of potential human trafficking situations and other crimes. Bottom line is, if drivers are concerned or suspicious, they are encouraged to report. Zencash is now Horizon. Horizon is a privacy platform built on zero-knowledge technology with a decentralized secure node architecture. The Horizon platform enables real-life uses beyond currency, including the ability to privately chat with other people. Soon, Horizon will enable you to publish information and go anywhere on the web, all with complete privacy. Horizon, bringing privacy to life. Learn more at horizon.global, HORIZEN.global. Reuters reports a federal judge on Wednesday struck down Trump administration policies aimed at restricting asylum claims by people citing gang or domestic violence in their home countries and ordered the U.S. government to bring back 6 deported migrants to reconsider their cases. The ruling is the latest legal setback for the White House on immigration. Last month, the judge in San Francisco ordered a halt to a policy that prevented those entering illegally from Mexico from seeking asylum. The policy at the center of Wednesday's ruling sought to limit the ability of immigrants to fight expedited avoided deportation by narrowing the grounds for claiming credible fear if they returned home, the first step in a long asylum process. Thousands of people have traveled this year towards the southern U.S. border to escape gang violence and poverty in Honduras and El Salvador. The policy was challenged in a District of Columbia lawsuit brought by a dozen adults and children. U.S. Judge Emmett Sullivan said in a 107-page opinion that the policy violated both immigration and administrative law. Sullivan wrote, "And because it is the will of Congress, not the whims of the executive, that determines the standard for expedited removal, the court finds that those policies are unlawful." In a statement, the DOJ said administration policies sought to follow Congress's requirements that asylum be limited to those with a fear of persecution based on their race, nationality, religion, political opinion, or membership in a social group. For the last 3 months of 2017, the most recent numbers, the government conducted about 6,000 credible fear interviews monthly. The vast majority passed those interviews, allowing them to make their case for asylum in front of a U.S. immigration judge. The ruling clears the way for 4 mothers and 2 children to be returned to the United States. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Today's fitness trackers can tell how far you're running, but tomorrow's can tell you why you're running. The new Nike Run Logic Plus pinpoints the desperate psychological demons at the root of your exercise routine. Tech Trends reporter Aaron Vaughn has more.
It's a problem all runners face. You run and you run and you run, but it's never enough. No matter how many miles you put in, that gnawing ache at your soul never goes away. Now Nike's engineers have found a way for runners to use that existential pain to push themselves even farther. Users keep the device on their wrist at all times. It not only records running times and distances, it also analyzes all of the user's social interactions and emotional patterns. It then creates a unique, detailed profile that dredges the inspiring well of inner turmoil inside every runner. Early users say they notice a big impact on their workout.
I started marathoning when I was 28. I thought it was time to get in shape, but then once I realized I was actually running from my meaningless job in ad sales, I started running a lot more, like all the time.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. Kicking off hour number 3, you can call in and join us by dialing toll-free 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. The us in studio tonight is Darryl,
Chris,
and Jackie.
And, well, we've been talking about cannabis, specifically the news that appears to be baffling professionals that teen use has declined in states where it's been legalized.
Unbelievable.
And Jackie, you said that you found something else showing that nationwide teen use of alcohol has also declined.
Apparently, just in general, quote unquote, risky behaviors amongst teens are down, like alcohol, drugs, sex.
Yep.
Yeah, teen pregnancy, like. It's just down across the board, and kids these days are just not getting up to the same level of trouble as before.
Are they wising up? Were they scared by how many friends they may have lost through opioids? I mean,
I think it's because video games these days are amazing. Like, if I still had my Xbox, I wouldn't drink. Maybe drink while I play Xbox, but I wouldn't drink as much.
You can't play well drinking. At least I never
exactly.
could.
Like, I mean, unless it's like just general overall generational things. I mean, phasing out leaded gasoline led to a big drop in crime 15 to 20 years later. And and what's interesting is because it was phased out in different countries at different times, it happened like at different points around the world, but it was always about 15 to 20 years after they phased out leaded gasoline because low-grade lead poisoning leads to poor impulse control. And so crime rates went down. So maybe at some point in the future, we find this big drop in risk-taking amongst teens is related to some thing some environmental, because the leaded gasoline, we've already seen that effect. It could be related to some other environmental factor that we weren't aware of that was making kids more likely to take risks. And these days, because the brain responds to all sorts of things.
This sounds like the craziest version of Freakonomics I've ever read, but I've not read that.
Oh, no, just like anybody wants to know, just Google lead crime hypothesis. And what's great about it is because because different countries phased out leaded gasoline at different times, we're able to distinguish that effect from just like some worldwide trend that happened all at once, or some age effect that happened all at once. We can actually look at the cohorts that were born after there was just sort of low-grade lead poisoning, childhood lead poisoning all the time. So it could be that something else happened 15 to 20 years ago in the environment that is causing kids to have, and it may be, it's not even necessarily a good thing. It could be that kids these days are more fearful.
Right. It's also my question is this correlation or causation? And a lot of times, and I can't remember the website, but it was great because they would show some statistic.
Oh, yeah,
like
spurious correlations.
It might have been that, but it would show like the number of
TylerVigen.com. TylerVigen.com.
Just send it out on the social media.
Yeah, it would show like the number of guest appearances by Scott Baio in prime time.
I think there's like Pirates and Sunspots.
And compare it to, like
the number of people who drowned by falling into a pool correlates to at a 66.66004% rate to the number of films that have Nicolas Cage.
So
exactly.
There's this dirty little secret in academic economics that a lot of papers are just the results of people like just going trawling in giant data sets, just looking for correlations. And that's not the way you're supposed to do science. And I think this is probably a dirty little secret of most of social science. They just get these giant data sets and they look for correlations, and then they come up with the theory. And the way you're supposed to do it, you're supposed to come up with the hypothesis, gather your data, and test your hypothesis, not look at the data, find a correlation, and then say, oh, yeah, that was my theory, and, because I already had data that, quote unquote, proves my theory.
But I guess what I'm saying is I consistently see this described as a hypothesis, not necessarily a theory. Yeah. So it has advanced all the way through the scientific regimen
yes, you have to
become something more.
Yeah, it's not like gravity. But,
there are people that say gravity doesn't exist.
Hey, but have we had any of those callers lately? I'm talking about the flat earthers.
Yeah, we had the crazy guy that...
Narrow it down, Darryl.
I'm trying to describe the crazy guy. Remember the crazy guy that built a homemade rocket that said that he didn't believe in physics?
Yeah. He called
a couple of weeks
to the
ago.
Show.
Oh, my God. Why not on a Thursday?
Yeah.
Oh, I would have loved that.
If he's listening right now, you need to call in because Chris missed your call.
855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
Yeah, so for people at home who are familiar, like basically a hypothesis is pretty much anything that a scientist wants to test. And then, theory is when the hypothesis has been tested over and over and over and over again.
It is
by multiple,
and it's repeatable.
There's a lot of evidence, a lot of different scientists, and they're like, okay, we're pretty sure this is true. But scientists, I mean, the whole process, the whole scientific process is a process of being iteratively less wrong.
Right.
So they still just say it's a theory.
So this is my problem with the global warming crowd. And I will say also, to touch on all of this, what drives these studies for the most part is funding is government grants and things like that. This is how you make money. If you can come up with a catchy title, then you are likely, even if it's complete bunk, you're likely to get some grant money for that.
Yeah,
that
was my job. For 3 years, I worked at an environmental science research institute as a research administrator and grants writer.
Right.
So I know and there was one, it was a great idea. It had been rejected 3 times. I went in and like 1 week and I took a bunch of Adderall, stayed up, rewrote the whole thing, my boss was just going to give up on it, handed it to him Monday, said, check the science, we're turning this in tomorrow. And he's like, fine, we'll try it your way. And my version of it got funded to the tune of $300,000. And it was actually a really good idea. It's just, it really is, and we had this multi-year argument about style versus substance in science. And I'm like, marketing matters. Because they're trying to say, oh, well, either the reviewers will like the idea or they won't. And I'm like, no, you have to sell it. Even in science, you have to sell yourself. So some of the weirder things we hear that get funded is probably just whoever wrote the grant was just really good at selling themselves.
Here's one that I'm not going to get into the actual story, but it's, one of these things that you definitely need to read past the headline, and I will post it on the social media. BMJ study, BMJ being the British Medical Journal study, parachutes don't save people who fall out of planes. Now, what they actually did was they had a bunch of people put parachutes on their back, a bunch of people that put empty backpacks on their back, and they all jumped out of airplanes. They all survived. And they said, see, random study, nobody died, so it doesn't matter if you have a parachute or not. The airplanes were sitting on the ground.
Right. Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Spoiler. But they were jumping
like 3 feet.
Yeah, you have to read past the headline on most of these things. And then there's the things to where they'll do a study and they'll sort of like twist it around backwards.
Yeah. So you got to go to the original study.
If you do these three things, you'll be a millionaire. No, just because millionaires do these three specific things doesn't mean that you will be a millionaire if you do them and you keep your minimum wage job at McDonald's.
So there's a great book out there I highly recommend, and it's called Free Radicals, The Secret Anarchy of Science. And what this talks about is, number one, everything that they're involved in is all driven by how much money they can get for grants to continue this.
Right.
And how bogus these papers are that end up being claimed as gospel. One of my favorite stories was the research. 3 U.S. researchers have pulled off a sophisticated hoax by publishing fake research with ridiculous conclusions in sociology journals to expose what they see as ideological bias and lack of rigorous vetting in these publications. One example they gave here was a faux claiming that dog parks are petri dishes for canine rape culture.
What?
But this gets published in a peer-reviewed paper, and they get grant money for it.
Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
There are basically 2 types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
When do you want to spot that burglar? When he's casing your home or after he's in? Ask John, whose Blink camera alerted him of burglars trying to break in while his family was home. Or Shannon, whose Blink camera caught a package thief. Blink motion-activated cameras are wire-free, set up in minutes, and run on 2 AA batteries that last up to 2 years. Save up to a whopping 40% off all outdoor XT and add-on cameras through December 22nd, while supplies last. Visit blinkprotect.com/holiday. blinkprotect.com/holiday.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
A civilian casualty is flattered to have been mistaken for a Hamas leader, and an asexually reproduced sea sponge is worried she's turning into herself. This news summary is best enjoyed in a state of leisurely repose, so sit back, relax, and let the waves of condensed news gently lap at your brain. This is the Onion Week in Review. Hoping to foster a lifelong connection to the airline, Delta announced the launch of its official alumni magazine, Flown, this week, a quarterly publication for people who have been passengers with the airline at some point in the past. A press release from Delta confirmed that the magazine will feature obituaries, wedding announcements, and profiles of prominent flyers that celebrate the shared experiences and interests of the airline's 900 million alumni.
I think it's a nice thing for Delta to do. I mean, it's always interesting to just skim through an issue, see what the old boarding group's up to. It kind of makes me nostalgic for the few hours back when I was on that flight to Tampa. Simpler days.
This is the Onion News Network.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Your calls and thoughts welcome about whatever is on your mind. Plus, there's the Discord call-in lines available over at discord.lrn.fm. And the holidays are approaching. And I don't know when the deadline is for, like, when's the last time you can order to get things before Christmas Day. But how about the gift of a good night's sleep? Well, you can do that with a MyPillow. The MyPillow is designed to help you get a good night's sleep by keeping your head and neck in the position that it's supposed to be in, where it's a straight line. There shouldn't be a curve in the neck if you're laying, on your back or on your side. And the MyPillow, they have a chart of if you wear this size t-shirt and you sleep on your side, then you need this size pillow. If you sleep on your back, then you need this. And if you don't like it for some reason in the first 60 days, you get your money back. So what have you got to lose? Go to MyPillow.com. Get 2 MyPillow premium pillows for one low price, and you get free shipping on all orders when you use promo code FTL. And remember, if you don't like the MyPillow, you have 60 days to return it for a refund of the purchase price. That's MyPillow.com, promo code FTL, as in Free Talk Live. And coming up, there's still the story out of Washington, D.C. about the vote that I heard somebody say earlier today that the Senate was voting to legalize cannabis nationwide. Well, that's not exactly what they were voting on. We'll get into that. But first, your calls. We've got David calling in from New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hello. Albuquerque, New Mexico. First of all, the volume on hold on the phone, I'm telling you again, and I have told your tech people, is crap. I can't even hear you guys.
I don't control the volume when you're on hold, David. Thank you for the call. So, what happened in D.C. earlier today? The story that I have comes from the Pot Network, where they say Senator Gardner's States Amendment wound up not being added to the First Step Act. The First Step Act being the piece of legislation that, it really is a first step. It's not a very big step, but it is a step. It winds up doing a little bit of sentencing reform and also allowing some people that are currently incarcerated to, if they fit certain criteria, either go to a halfway house a little earlier than otherwise scheduled, or possibly get released to what they refer to as home confinement, which would basically be house arrest.
Right. But Darryl, this is going to be rapists and child molesters, right?
Nope. They are specifically excluded.
Well, that's not according to... I was trying to find the senator's name that I was watching on Fox and Friends the other morning, and he said he did not vote for it because, rapists and child molesters...
No, there was an amendment that the Senate added a couple of days ago to specifically exclude rapists and child molesters.
Well, did you get him a copy of this? Because he said it repeatedly.
Lots of people say things repeatedly over and over, but according to the multiple sources that I read about the amendments that were added, they were specifically excluded from sentencing reform.
I mean, this is just another example of government having to go in and fix the unintended consequences of its earlier policies that people told them were going to happen. Like,
right.
we had, when mandatory minimums and 3 strikes laws came out, people who knew what they were talking about said this is going to lead to ballooning prison populations and people who screw up, in their teens and early 20s getting locked away for life. And then lo and behold, here we are, 20 years later from when that we're having to roll back and try and fix these problems.
To damn near 40 because mandatory minimums came into effect in the early 80s.
Okay, but it was like we went through this time period in like the 80s and 90s of like tough on crime, and we just locked everybody up for life for just about anything. And now we've got this huge prison population. We've destroyed all these people's lives. We've ripped all these families apart. Kids are growing up without their parents. Then they're more likely to get in trouble. And now we're like, maybe we should fix this. And decades later and millions of lives ruined.
Right.
They're finally fixing what the government's fixing what the government did.
Right. And Chris, you said 70s, and it could have been that they passed in the late 70s.
I thought
but then the prison population just started skyrocketing in the 80s.
It seems like we talked about the first states. I remember what it was. It was the first states that it wasn't originally called 3 strikes.
Right.
It was called, advanced sentencing or something like that.
And this we're talking specifically about at the federal level, and what was attempted here by Senator Cory Gardner was to add the States Act to the First Step Act, and the States Act would not, contrary to what some people would like to say, it would not have legalized cannabis nationwide. What it would have done is prohibit the federal government from interfering in state medical marijuana programs, and also making it a federal crime to violate a state cannabis law. Right. So if you live in a state where you can have up to 3/4 of an ounce without it being a criminal offense, then you've got 0.76 ounce. Now, not only have you violated the state law, you also would have violated this federal law. So it's not at all a small government thing, despite what some people are trying to say.
Right, and these are the same people that talk to us about how much they respect and defend the Constitution, but they absolutely ignore it. There were enumerated powers granted to the federal government.
Yes.
And that's a very short list. And, and I find it interesting, the more I read, from the framers and from the state conventions, is them saying over and over that, no, you can't use general for the general welfare clause for anything.
Right.
You can use it for things that are within the enumerated powers.
Right.
The things we just listed, that's okay, but you can't just go adding anything in. But
right.
What do we have?
What was the veto message by James Madison, the guy that wrote the Constitution?
He seems like kind of I call him as an expert witness.
He vetoed a bill that would have done like some canals and roads, and they're like, well, the post office could use them, and he said that's not a good enough rationale. Just because the post office could use something doesn't make it a postal road.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing that I never really understood is we needed a constitutional amendment for the prohibition of alcohol. But the prohibition of cannabis and all these other drugs, Congress just did it. And all the constitutional conservatives, so-called, are just fine with that. It's like we're not even pretending to follow the rules anymore. We're not even pretending.
For a long time. I agree.
Your calls and thoughts welcome. And let's hear from Senator Cory Gardner what he had to say on this States Act, supposed small government guy that wanted more federal control while saying that it was less federal control. Yeah, it's some mental gymnastics, but this is Free Talk Live, 855-450 free.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
The United States of Empire is a book that claims the United States is the empire of the world. George Washington had warned us against foreign wars. The United States of Empire shows that World Wars I and II left England broken. Its former colony, the U.S., had to save the empire. Was there ever a vote? Who do we fight for? The deep state began with World War I. The United States of Empire by James Dunn. Available at Amazon Books.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin. mymagicmud.com.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Hey guys, Mark Claire here, lionsofliberty.com, where we strive to advance the ideas of liberty daily. We bring you the Morning Roar! That's right, every Monday to Friday we'll have a brand new edition of the Morning Roar, where we provide a roundup of some news stories that you may not find in the mainstream media or even in your typical social media newsfeed. We find stories that relate to the ideas of liberty and provide you with our liberty perspective on them. Every Monday, we have our longest-running feature, Mondays with Murray, named after the great libertarian Murray Rothbard, where we'll examine an article or an excerpt from his works and help convey his view, along with our little spin as well. We wrap it all up every Friday with Felony Friday, where our own John Odermatt goes out and takes a look at some sort of felony. There's felonies committed every day, you know, whether it's a felony committed by the police, a politician, or even an average citizen. You can find all of this and so much more over at lionsofliberty.com. Advancing the ideas of liberty daily.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We'll get back into this story about the States Act that was being voted on and was rejected as being added to the First Step Act. I'll continue explaining why I support this because it wasn't a small government thing at all. But I want to make sure that I welcome Kylon Eckert, who is a silver amplifier. Amplifiers are those people that wind up joining the AMP program, where they donate at least $5 per month. You can learn more about the AMP program over at amp.freetalklive.com. And we've been thanking the amplifiers, and tonight we are thanking Kylon Eckert, again, who is a silver amplifier. There are perks. There's a AMP-only Discord room. There's the commercial-free AMP podcast, where obviously you'll hear any live reads that we do, but there are no added commercials in that AMP podcast. There are probably some other perks. Oh, yeah, there's the AMP-only Facebook group. Probably some others that I can't think of. But again, you can learn more about that over at amp.freetalklive.com. So, continuing on with this article, there are some quotes from Senator Cory Gardner from Colorado. He says, "This legislation is the embodiment of the federalism our founders envisioned. It allows each state to move, if at all, at its own pace. It lets states like Colorado be the laboratory of democracy the American people have come to expect. But most importantly, it lets Colorado be Colorado. It lets South Carolina be South Carolina, and Florida be Florida. And they all will have federal prosecutors backing up whatever decision they make with respect to marijuana." Translation: if you violate state marijuana laws, you're committing a federal offense and will be dealt with in federal, federal courts, federal prisons, because you dared have 0.76 ounces of cannabis in New Hampshire.
Right. It's insane. I feel more optimistic of doing away with at least that part of the drug war. I really do think we're approaching a serious change in people's attitudes towards marijuana. Because now they're, it's really likely that, people listening right now that they live in a state where you at least have medical marijuana, and they probably are seeing something that's similar to what we reported earlier out of Washington State. Wow, kids aren't suddenly getting stoned all over the place.
Right, but I don't see what, it takes some mental gymnastics to believe that making a violation of a state law a federal offense is somehow smaller government. And
I don't disagree.
His quote here, respecting states' rights.
Well, no.
By making it a federal offense to violate a state law.
No, it's a violation of the 10th Amendment. In this example, actually, it's a violation of the 9th Amendment.
No. The sponsor of this, Cory Gardner, is saying that it's supporting. And I said, I don't understand what sort of mental gymnastics it takes to hold his position.
I'm trying to explain that these are the gymnastics you would have to go through. You have to ignore the Constitution. You have to ignore the 9th, which says that any rights not enumerated here belong still to the people.
Yes.
And anything that we didn't give the federal government the power to do, it remains up to the states and how they want to handle things. A compact of states.
They've been ignoring that for,
of course,
decades, centuries, since almost the beginning.
Yeah, but that's why I really like and admire and contribute to that 10th Amendment Center.
Yeah.
Michael Bolden and Mike Meharry, who he's called in here before. They do good work, and they point out some of these silly things of how repeatedly and over the federal government's, it's just out of control.
Yeah. Gardner continues, this amendment at this time recognizes that you shouldn't go to federal prison for following state law. That, in its essence, is sentencing reform. If we got a chance to vote on this amendment today, the amendment would be germane. It would be a 50-vote threshold, simple majority up or down, and I know that this amendment has the support from this body on both sides of the aisle to fix this conflict and allow the states to make their own decisions without the heavy hand of Washington telling them what to do. But again, it would create a new federal offense by making it a federal offense to violate whatever the state law is on cannabis wherever you happen to be. So you go to Colorado and the law is you can buy up to a certain amount of cannabis, and you stop at 3 different stores, and then you have accumulated more than whatever they say that you're allowed to have at any given time. That would now be a federal offense.
Right.
It would retain the federal offense of driving across state lines.
Sure.
With cannabis. And of course, it's still a federal offense to drive across state lines with raw milk.
The thing
Let's talk about the war on raw milk.
Let's just talk about stop having federal laws.
Yes.
That the laws that have no substance, if you look at the Constitution. There's no reason for these laws to exist. You may not like drugs. I get that. You may think that marijuana is evil. I get that. But that does not mean that you get to dictate, in this case, politicians and bureaucrats in Washington, D.C., laws for every single person in every single state across the country. That is not the design of our country. That was never intended to be the design. So you can say all you want, well, they ought to just make that illegal. Well, you're an idiot. You can't do that. The federal government cannot do it. And if you want to grant Washington the power to do that kind of stuff, sorry, Democrats, but you get Trump. And sorry, Republicans, you get Obama. And you
sorry,
you
Republicans,
get your tyrants.
you also get Trump.
And if you want to live in a community that super regulates people's behaviors, they're called HOAs, and you can move into one and
then
you know,
the
be
flag
on the
waivers
HOA
get
board.
upset because the HOAs generally have rules against hoisting flags.
Well, then you can start a new development and make a new HOA and put a rule in that HOA that says flags are allowed. Like, the great thing is there's all these little voluntary neighborhoods out there that you can move into that have very specific rules about what you can and can't do in the building or in the neighborhood.
Difference is it's easy to move out of an HOA. If I don't like it and I have a job in this town, I can move to another apartment in town or another townhouse or whatever.
Right.
It's a hell of a lot different when you're talking about idiocracy that comes out of Washington that applies in the entire country.
That's what I'm saying, though, is for the people who are like, I don't want my kids to be around people smoking pot.
Right.
Okay, you and everybody else who feels that way can get together and buy up a condo building or buy up a neighborhood, form an HOA, and say there will be no cannabis use in this building or in this HOA. I mean, like on college campuses, they have alcohol-free, smoke-free, drug-free dorms. And you sign up to be in that if you want to be in that environment, and you don't sign up to be in that if you don't want to be in that environment.
Right. But it's all dependent in our country on what Washington says.
Yeah.
Regardless of what state you're in. It's all depends on what Washington says.
Yeah, but
and
my point is you can have the environment you want to live in without it being government mandated.
You can't have the environment you want to live in.
Yeah, we can't have the environment we want to live in, but the ones who want to be the people who want to be super restrictive about, I don't want my kids being around people who are smoking weed. Okay.
Get that.
Make that a rule for your neighborhood, for your HOA. Like, go someplace, form a new neighborhood, form a new HOA.
But that's not where I'm willing to stop. And it's not because I'm selfish. It's not because I want to force my views on everybody else. I'm saying for everyone to enjoy the freedom that everybody should have, that means you're going to have to seriously curtail the federal government.
Yes.
You got to get them out of all this stuff that they have no right to ever be in.
I seem to recall the Declaration of Independence mentioned something about altering or abolishing. This is Free Talk Live. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. 855-450-3733.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com. You want to know the 37 items you must have to survive a crisis? Then I've got some good news for you. Former CIA officer and New York Times best-selling author Jason Hansen is now giving listeners a free copy of his book, The Escape Bag Blueprint, 37 Items You Must Have to Survive a Crisis. You can claim your copy at freeescapebook.com. Don't delay. Jason reveals the guns, knives, flashlights, and water filters that could save your life in an economic collapse or grid-down event. Get your free book today, freeescapebook.com. freeescapebook.com.
Marijuana has unleashed a green gold rush across our nation. It's creating $10.8 billion in new wealth a year. And every day, it's transforming more and more Americans into millionaires. In an historic event, former Speaker of the House John Boehner reveals how you could become one of them. Join him online for the American Cannabis Summit. Attendance is 100% free, but space is limited. Join online at www.acs2018.com. This event is the first of its kind ever. John Boehner and an esteemed panel will reveal which cannabis stocks are primed to deliver life-changing windfalls in the weeks and months ahead. Plus, they will show you how to become a cannabis angel investor, backing the hottest startups before they potentially become worth billions of dollars. Join American Cannabis Summit online at acs2018.com. Attendance is free. That's acs2018.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Possibly time for you and your thoughts. If you call in now, you can join us with whatever is on your mind. The us in studio tonight is Darryl,
Chris,
and Jackie.
And if you're going to be doing some last-minute shopping online, we can't guarantee that it will arrive in time for the holidays, unless you're celebrating a holiday that is later than Tuesday. But head over to shop.freetalklive.com. We don't promote this enough, but we do have affiliate links with Walmart, Newegg, Amazon Canada and UK, not Amazon US, HostGator, Omaha Steaks, and several others. You can find all of those over at shop.freetalklive.com. Now, what you could do very easily is, instead of going to shop.freetalklive.com every time you want to shop, just bookmark the relevant links from that page and then follow the bookmarks. And that helps us a little bit. Again, shop.freetalklive.com. And speaking of shopping and things of that sort, Chris, apparently you stumbled upon, you didn't stumble upon the airline, but you stumbled upon an article written about some new kind of airline that is technically not offering commercial airline services, but they are allowing people to fly from, like
point A to point B.
Point A to point B. And I'm guessing several people on the plane at the same time. So it's not just, like some guy named John that has an empty seat in a Cessna and he's saying, give me some gas money, which technically, as I understand aviation law, would make him a commercial pilot and require him to have a commercial aviation license. But there's some kind of weird thing where it's like an open charter where multiple people can buy tickets, and it's not, you have to be part of a group. What exactly is this? Where's the story from?
But the teaser was, I read like the heading, and it said there was no wait, minimum security, and a cozy lounge offering free drinks, snacks, and Wi-Fi, perks that help soothe the anxiety I normally have felt before a flight. And here is how the private company manages to charge less for superior flying experience.
So where's the story?
This is from Business Insider.
All right.
Yep. And I'm just going to jump into it. We'll try to cover as much of this as we can. It was around the time my cab driver, and this is the author speaking, when the driver asked whether I'd given him the right address. Then I realized I was either about to have a unique flight experience or end up completely lost. A few minutes later, as we pulled up to what looked like a small hotel, I saw the sign that should have reassured me. There, on a small white banner perched atop two stakes in the ground, was the name Jet Suite X.
All right.
This was my experience with a boutique but affordable airline began. My trip from the Bay Area to Los Angeles on a chartered semi-private plane with JetX cost a fraction of a traditional flight and will convince me that I'll never suffer through a giant airport for the journey again. There was no waiting, minimum security protocols, and a comfortable lounge with free snacks, drinks, and Wi-Fi. There was, however, one drawback, which I'll describe later. Here's how JetX manages to charge less for a superior flying experience. But, I'm just reading it with no ticket, no boarding. It's all right.
So what's the date on this? Because I'm trying to find this article, and I'm seeing several things that mention Jet Suite on Business Insider from like 2011 and 2013.
That's when they first came out.
Right. I'm just trying to figure out if the FAA has cracked down on them.
The story was updated 1 hour ago, so probably not. As someone who deals with but I pulled my, I'm sorry, folks. Yes, but as I pulled my luggage out of the car, I spotted another sign emblazoned with Jet Suite X and what looked like a few other customers, mostly people with small dogs, scattered around the tiny entrance. As someone who deals with a fair amount of pre-flight anxiety, I hope my JetX experience would be different. Some of my normal triggers, the things that tip me from antsy to on edge, include large crowds, long wait times, and invasive security checks. Jet Suite X claimed to have none of that. She then, and this is the lady who's checking them in.
You're skipping a little bit here, and I don't know if it's not displaying right.
Yeah, they're doing that. The story's
so there's
very,
here's a paragraph that's in bold text for no apparent reason.
Thank you. I got it. There was no wait time for my flight. A cheery customer service agent greeted me and asked for an ID. She used that to print my boarding pass. She then swabbed my hands and luggage with a cloth designed to check for traces of explosives, part of the standard protocol for Transportation Security Administration agents at major airports. Only there were no TSA agents, and that was the only security I'd encounter. Jet Suite X says on its website that its security measures, quote, exceed, unquote, the TSA's requirement. Every customer is matched against a TSA watch list like any other commercial airline, it says, adding that regulators for the TSA, FAA, and Department of Transportation have, quote, approved all Jet Suite X security measures. Once I was checked in and ready for my flight, I was invited to wait in Jet Suite X's lounge area. It looked more like a cozy coffee shop than an airport. And at this point, Darryl, my battery died. Will you pick it up from there?
Yeah, so what was the last thing you just read? Because I was skimming to the bottom of the article.
About the nice coffee shop, like...
Yeah, there were also free snacks and drinks, which she says got me wondering, how does Jet Suite X manage to charge just $125 for a flight that normally costs $300 while still offering perks like these? And for reference here, she flew from a small airport just outside of Oakland to somewhere just outside of L.A., to Burbank.
Yeah, and it just...
So, she's not flying from San Francisco to LAX. She's flying from airports like, an hour, half hour away.
Yeah, I used to travel to the Los Angeles area somewhat frequently, and I flew into, John Wayne Airport and a lot of the smaller airports. I hated LAX.
So how do they do it? She says it turns out that Jet Suite X, as I suspected, is a charter air carrier that only sells tickets for flights within California and Nevada. It was founded in 2011 by Alex Wilcox, one of the founders of JetBlue, and raised $7 million from that airline. So it's perhaps thanks to investors like JetBlue that Jet Suite X is able to make budget flights feel like a boutique experience. Skipping down here, she says that the glass French doors opposite my side of the lounge, a ticketing agent called us up to board and checked our boarding passes. The whole process took a minute. Before I knew it, I was up close and personal with the plane that I was about to use to fly from Oakland to Burbank. Though it was founded in 2011, Jet Suite X didn't start flying until April 2016. As of this year, the airline sells tickets to 5 cities in California: Burbank, Concord, Oakland, Santa Ana, and Las Vegas. She says, to board my flight, all I did was walk up a small flight of stairs at the front of the airplane. Our plane was a regional jet called an Embraer ERJ-135. Holds 35 people, has a small bathroom at the back. Now, these are planes that I'm very familiar with, having used to work for a Delta subsidiary, and a lot of the planes that we had that came in were these regional jets. So there are sort of like 2 really popular makers of regional jets, or what some people refer to as puddle jumpers.
Right.
Not all of these small planes are turboprops.
Right.
Most of them do have jet engines.
Yeah.
But there's Embraer and Canadair. Are like the 2 big companies.
And Embraer is a Brazilian company, I believe. I'm pretty sure.
Sure, let's go with that.
Yeah.
She says during the flight, there were more free drinks, including alcohol, as well as a selection of snacks such as veggie chips and miniature bags of coconut flakes. As we cruised above the Bay Area, I could not help but pledge to myself that I'd never fly another airline within California again. But there was one minor drawback. On a small plane like an ERJ-135, you can feel the push and pull of the air pressure around you. It also felt as if you dipped and swooped a bit more than the average long-haul plane. Admittedly, I deal with fairly frequent motion sickness. Car rides make me sick, so do swings. So it's worth noting that everyone else on the plane seemed just as relaxed as usual. About an hour later, we touched down in Burbank, a 20-minute drive from downtown Los Angeles. The flight attendant handed me a Mint. A staff member wheeled out the luggage, and we left through an aircraft hangar. Before I knew it, my first Jet Suite X flight experience was over. So there you have it, and I'm surprised that the TSA hasn't sort of started cracking down.
I hope more people
this.
Try this.
So do I.
Well, TSA is just security theater, so there's not enough people to watch the performance there for them to care.
Yeah, maybe, maybe not. We're out of time for tonight, but we'll be back tomorrow as we are every night of the week, including all these holidays coming up. This is Free Talk Live.
Negotiation isn't just something union leaders and sports agents do. Your entire day is a series of negotiations. If you have young children, you know that. In fact, your kids can teach you a lot about negotiating with grown-ups. According to the world's greatest negotiator, Herb Cohen, author of You Can Negotiate Anything. Herb says that kids understand the process of decision-making within an organization.